RWP is brought to you by Porch Beer Entertainment.
We're here, man. We made it. Like this is a year. How does it feel to exist, to have the show exist for a year?
I don't know. It might feel a little better if you actually ate something.
I will. What do you got? You got some candy corn?
That's okay.
Caramel corn? Caramel. Do you say caramel
Do you
or
eat candy corn? I actually low-key love candy corn because it's all sugar.
You mean the little things at Halloween
Yeah.
that everybody hates? No.
No one hates that.
Though the candy corn is the Halloween candy that everyone's always like, oh my god, I can't believe I got.
And I'm the
corn.
one who swoops in the day after Halloween and buys like 6 bags for 50 cents.
Really,
Candy corn. I don't enjoy it, but it's one of those things that I just eat when it's that season.
But candy corn's the one that looks like
little corn kernels.
Yeah, it looks like teeth, little teeth.
Yeah, sure. It's got the white tip. The
Not
orange
a fan.
and
No, it's gross. But wait. How do we get on the subject? Oh yeah, because you've got caramel corn that you got from the Boy Scouts of America. Also, real quick, you tried to get me arrested today by not informing me that the popo is cracking down on the circle parking.
Yeah. So
what's up with that?
We had the grandparents over like a couple weeks ago, and I took their car after they came down here. I was like, hey, I'll go park your car at the top. It's fine. And
nice of you.
No, there were like 6 other cars parked in the middle like that. So I just roll in, I park, I walk down. At the end, I'm like, I'll run up, grab the car for you guys, bring it around like a valet service. I get up to the top, and the cop had already ticketed that car, and they were ticketing every single car. Well, one of them had like weird parking thing but there was a cop there too.
Was it cars parked in the circle that weren't along the curb?
Just in the middle, and like
otherwise known as the bend spot.
And there's this person like sitting there screaming at the lady, going like, "In all the 20 years that I've been in this neighborhood, no one has ever once ticketed right here." And like it's this huge thing.
And the cop's probably like, "I'm just doing my job." Like,
so the whole cul-de-sac was talking about. Yeah, I mean the cop wasn't even the one giving the ticket. It was some like meter maid type parking specific violation person.
Wow.
But like
the cop was there to calm down the crowd.
Someone must have called, because parking, the only knock against the neighborhood is the parking situation.
Sure, as chronicled on this show.
What happens is there's a big section of the neighborhood that rents out their houses to like college kids because we're close to Mason.
Yeah.
So they'll have like 4 cars, 1 spot or 2 spots. So that's what like keeps clogging it up. And so they're going to start a petition to like knock out some useless, like that middle island thing. Yeah. If you put like 2 sets of cars right there, like 6 spots each, you'd solve half your problem in the bottom half.
Yeah.
And like they have to start this petition and stuff. But yeah, and like this lady was just, everyone in the neighborhood too was all like, hey, I've been here 15 years. They haven't touched a single car up there.
Yeah, I was worried.
So now it's like a normal thing.
I had to parallel park.
It's fine overnight so far. But like this area, this time of day, where it's like, people are getting home.
Yeah,
that's where they're snagging people.
Man, I was scared. Ashley was my savior because I was setting up, parking right in the middle. She came by.
She texted me and she was like, "Why didn't you tell Ben to park?"
Yeah, and you did
somewhere else. And I was
you
like,
texted me after like I was already at your house.
Well, that was after she'd already picked you up.
It was completely useless information at that point. But yeah, man, we're going to do things a little differently for this episode as we are at our 1-year anniversary of this show. And we'll give a little applause to that because that's, it's impressive. I'll take a little bit of the caramel corn.
You say it different every time. You say caramel. That one you said caramel.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Good.
I almost said I wonder how many Boy Scouts got touched to make that.
No.
But that's not a very tasteful joke.
That's okay. So the way we're going to do things on this episode, like I said, is a little different. This isn't going to be a show of pitching inventions and movie and television ideas and things like that.
I did have a really good one, though. Not even like that.
You got to save it.
No, it's just an idea, and I was thinking of like because it's been a really rough couple of weeks of work.
Sure.
And I was like, the other day, I was just like, how cool would it be if your like status in a company was decided upon your ability to play 1v1 basketball or something like that. So, like, if you really wanted that big raise, you would be like, hey, Mr. Peterson, 3 o'clock courts behind or even in the conference room. Or, like, he's coming in for a meeting, and you've got a regulation size hoop in there, and you're like, let's go. Check it out. And you just hit him right out of the gate.
Interesting.
And so anytime you wanted to settle something or move up in the company, or the CEO was literally like, he's the best in that company
and that's how
at
he got
basketball,
to his spot.
and that's how he got to his spot. So it's not even like really necessarily determined on job skill.
It would be all like former NBA players would all be like the CEOs of America. And
Think about it, like in each company is a different sport. So, like, you go to that company based on the sport they specialize in, but then think about how hard it is to climb up. You would have to train.
How long did you think about this idea?
I was thinking for a while.
Yeah, I was about to say it was probably like a full work day, at least a half a work day thinking about it. No, I like that concept, and I think you could apply it to a lot of different trades. Could be like one-on-one basketball or like,
ping pong. Could have been like mascot books could have been ping pong. That's how you move up in the world.
It would be like shotgunning a beer, like how quick you can do that. It would be a lot of frat bros running companies, which there probably already are. I like it. I like where you take it non-traditional approach to the CEO hierarchy. So that would be a good discussion topic.
Because like then they're forced to do the actual job too. Yeah. And maybe they don't have time to practice as much, but you're always threatened for your job.
I got you.
And it's based on physical challenge. And you also have to perform in the workplace.
Arm
so you can get fired for not doing your job, but you can also get fired by losing a basketball game.
Wow. The poor nerds that don't like sports would be just...
Well, they would gravitate towards other companies. Maybe some video game challenges, or maybe it's a trivia.
Yeah, it's a little like Fortnite contest, and the winner gets the last person standing gets to be CEO of the company.
And then maybe they hold that tournament once a year. And that person's got a whole year to try to change that company or defend his title.
If only the world functioned... If we were able to run the world, let's be honest. After listening...
I bet you one company has Russian roulette.
Ooh.
And
like
basically,
a gun?
Yeah, and no one wants to move up because
it's like
that's
a Russian company.
to ask for promotion against somebody.
You
would both be committing to the fact that one of you is going to die, right?
And you got to just go back and forth.
So it would be cutthroat.
Wow.
It would be absolute
literally cutthroat. You could have a throat cutting thing.
A throat cutting competition.
Yeah, something like that.
How does that work? Do you see who cuts their own throat the fastest?
You have a knife and the other person has a knife, and you have a hold against the other person's neck, and you see who kills the other person fastest.
Interesting. Interesting. I feel like that's a scenario where both of them die a lot.
It could. It's. I'm not saying it's a great system.
But it's a system.
It's a system, and that's what we need in this country. And that's what we're here as a podcast to give you for the last year. We have been giving you ideas and different various things to pay attention to. And what we're going to do on this episode.
Is the camera okay? It looks really slanted.
No, camera's all set. I've got it right here. Oh. We're good to go, man. No, I had everything all set up for you. Don't worry.
I mean, everything here hasn't been touched.
Oh, well,
as you like to say, even though you
messed they don't know that at home though.
Yeah,
because we're good, but they may think like, I mean, it takes like an hour for me to set everything up before every episode. So what we're gonna do on this episode is we're gonna play some clips from our first episode of the show. And kind of talk on those clips a bit, and like see how far the show's gone. And we're gonna talk. We've got some voice memos to play.
Thank you, Random Nation, for sending this in.
Yeah, we did actually get a good batch in. We've also got some emails to read as well. I've got some of those from Rando Nation as well, and we have
an anonymous.
We have a weird robot anonymous. I'm telling you, I think this wasn't intentional to sound like that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll play that later.
It's gotta be.
I don't know. Maybe it is. So we're actually not going to play our normal intro to start this show because we are going to be playing here
quick
in a
update.
Moment. Yeah.
Did you see next text?
No. What did he say?
He's buying a motor scooter.
Oh, for his birthday.
For DC life, I guess. He's going to be on a Vespa.
See, I just don't think it can support his thighs, but
no, definitely not.
That's a conversation for another day. Yes, we will be with Nick and CMO Pete in a few days, so we'll have plenty of stories to relay from that next week. So next week we'll get back to regularly scheduled programming. But today it's all about us, and I'm not going to play the intro because we're going to actually go back and play the intro of the first show here in a moment.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see that. But we'll start here with the beginning.
This is an unpopped kernel.
Yeah, that you could have died.
I almost broke my
tooth. You could have broke your tooth on that. So he's got the caramel corn, and we're going to play you. This is the opening of the very first episode of the Random Word Podcast. We're going to leave the mics on, but we'll probably discuss here after here. So again, this is
fasten your seatbelts because we're about to enter a time machine. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, we'll get to there. You think we can't have a conversation without getting to a death sentence? Come on.
We're so young, man.
All right, I guess we'll just kind of like.
It was only a year.
I so young.
Show doc, but all I wrote was a chair.
Just
like I'm not sure why I needed
You're
to
a lot
write that.
I
funnier,
think you
too.
just keep that there and just not ever tell anybody like where it came from.
Yeah.
This is the intro because
This was the very
All right,
beginning.
I guess we'll just kind of.
How long is it?
Things off. Give me 1 second.
oh,
It's a minute because this is
we
before.
get-
This is our pre-show banter back then. It was
only
only
a
a
minute?
minute.
What
Yeah.
would our nickname be?
I mean, I was.
This is where the names were
thinking
coined.
Salty Dalton or
Well-
Dirty D. I mean, yeah, you don't have. You want to. I, mean,
I don't want to do that.
You're gonna get pretty famous. So
We're RWP.
yeah. This is the chance you had
That's-
to
I mean, that's
actually
not my nickname.
make a
That's
name
just-
for yourself.
I
It's the
know. I could have
RWP
changed
with
everything.
blank and blank. You
Okay.
want that to be Nighthawk in Dragon Vision or
Dragon
Dragon
Vision.
I
Vision.
could have
Yeah,
been
I totally
Dragon.
forgot about
Yeah,
this.
that's
I didn't
not a
even
good
know dragons could see better than other animals.
one. Oh, well, I mean, they
Dragon
can.
breath. That could be like a fire breath or
Yeah,
somebody
but
with
that
really
also
bad
insinuates that maybe you just like really scorned someone one time by eating garlic.
breath. That's probably true. I think we
sounds
could
so
just,
different.
I'll be Salty Dalton.
Okay, I don't really want a nickname. That could be my
Ben's
thing.
kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, I
just
could
straight
just
up.
be Ben.
I lied to you.
So-
That is not kind of cool.
It's not. It's not. And actually, I've always hated my name. So let's talk about that a little bit. So Salty Dalton and I had, again, taking
We're
it
way
back.
funnier. I think we've
Well,
lost
first
the
of all,
magic.
first of all,
I
we
think
were
we've
way
lost the
funnier.
magic.
Yeah, we
There's no
we
way.
clearly have. The show.
The tone in our voices, we're way more prepared. And guess what? You know what I think the problem is? Is that we got all those fun, like a lot of those funny memories out in a huge burst.
We got nothing left.
and did not taper that.
We only have like 26 years worth of memories to choose from. We blew
and
them
we
all.
burned through like 14
Yeah.
of them.
So we had run years back. We had run and for those who don't remember the
What?
origin of the show, we had run a blog, a website.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Dude, I was like, I thought you meant like years back we were playing the show. I was like, no,
Yeah.
we weren't. Oh
Yeah.
my god, don't lie to them.
So we had started a website, a blog called the Random Word Blog.
We use a pretty heavy use of the word too because Ben came to us with an idea and he was like, hey
Yeah.
guys, I miss creative writing and I want to write. And so we were just like, okay, Ben, I don't know why you're telling us this. And you're like, I think I'm going to make a blog. And then every day for a couple weeks, you would write something. It wasn't even about a word, was it?
Well, no, that's what it was. Is you would
Yeah, so I was like,
provide the
yeah.
random word. So I would go similar to what we would do on the show. Is I would go to Dalton and Salty Dalton, and he would give me like 4 words, and they'd each have a definition tied to it, and he'd be like, "Here's your words like for the week." And then every day on the blog, I'd release a blog where I just kind of riffed on something to do with that word.
that word and that definition. And the funny thing is I started to get overwhelmed with providing you words because it was a
Yeah.
very simple job. I was doing none of the writing.
Keep in mind,
But,
it was
I would get
every day.
I would get a text on like Friday, and you're like, "Hey man, got any words queued up for the week?" And I'm just like, "Dude, I don't know. I haven't thought about this." So I'm like trying to do research, and I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing, Ben. I don't. Here's a couple words. I don't know." I was starting to get like very, like frustrated
Because it was literally,
because I had to give you 4 words.
and not even 4 words, 7. It was
Yeah.
every single day, including weekends. Because what I would do is I would sometimes write multiple
stack 'em.
posts
You'd stack 'em
and
on one day.
schedule them.
Yeah.
And like we're talking, I would write a blog while I was on a work trip, or
Is that blog still active?
I don't think so. No.
Do you still?
It's not still active. No, I may still own the domain, but so
wanna read
it was
those
a thing, and it
posts.
took we did a lot of them. I mean, we're talking like it wasn't just a couple weeks worth. It was like probably 5 or 6 months. Maybe not that long, but it was at least 3 or 4 months worth.
No, it was a lot. And
Yeah.
then days where you couldn't do it, I made a few guest appearances
Yeah,
where
you,
I would
you
write
wrote some guest blogs,
Yeah.
and it was just like a funny thing that where both of us, well, for me primarily too, I was a distraction from work at the time at that job.
Oh,
where
yeah.
Salty Dalton and I found a lot of different ways to distract ourselves from our jobs, writing books, working on this website, and it was just kind of a fun thing. And then it disappeared for years. We kind of had stopped, and then it disappeared, and then. After a failed card shop operation that we had, where we had our fake little cooler
yes.
cards,
Cooler
rest
cards.
in peace. Still a great idea. One day will rise again.
It is honestly, I just wish that I knew somebody remotely famous
That could like endorse that.
that could endorse it, because it is honestly,
off.
it's a lot funnier than people think.
Yeah.
And if like we actually had finished products somewhere,
Sure.
like in an actual like store, it would be a great hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, we would make the most money selling it to like Target or Walmart, being like, "Hey, do you want to own the rights to this? Here you go. Pocket that money. Use it for another startup."
And the Instagram still exists if you want to check out some of the designs.
I
It
still
was
get reminders
cooler
on
cards.
Facebook, and it's like, people haven't heard from Cooler Cards in a little while, and I was like, yeah, no, like a year ago.
So we had we're just coming off of that kind of failed experiment, and then we were looking for our next thing to do. And of course, we both listened to a lot of podcasts, and we were like, hey, why don't we take the random word concept and turn it into a show where we basically riff about a word and just kind of joke around.
It was really centered around that word.
It was supposed to be. And then we had I had podcast equipment because I always have audio equipment with me, and we sat on the pavers, Abby's parents' porch, and we recorded this episode. And we had done, and this was recorded weeks in advance before it was ever released, right?
Oh yeah,
because
we did
were
about
like,
3 or 4 weeks of recording, and stuff like that, because the recording sessions were a lot longer, and I think we were funnier because we were also like 3 or 4 beers deep.
We would get like
end of
pretty toasty for the show. Now Dalton would have to, he wouldn't get too toasty because he'd have to drive home, but I didn't have to go anywhere at the time.
We'd end up waiting for like an hour anyway, because I'd be so curious to hear like parts of the show that I'd be like, I'll stay so we can listen back to it.
Before we had the audio editing equipment that we have now, we had to the mixer that I had at the time, in order to record a master version of the audio before I could edit it, I'd have to literally re-record the same episode. By doing that, so I'd have to replay the 1.5, 2 hour long episode that we had just played and let it re-record itself onto a master track. So you and I would just sit there on the porch and listen to another like 30, 45 minutes of the episode. Yeah. And I wouldn't get the show up till like midnight, and not even the day of, because it would take weeks. But here's the little intro of the episode here, which has. We'll talk about the intro evolution after we play this clip.
Feels like we're doing a 30 for 30.
It was a little intense.
R-W-B.
And then there's a little bit of us talking here.
Welcome, everybody, to the Random Word Podcast. And this is, I guess, episode 1 here. Yeah. We're going to kind of give you the rundown of what the show even is. So basically, this is the Random Word Podcast. It's I'm just going to keep saying the name. It's the Random Word Podcast. You got to understand what that means, right?
Who's telling the information?
So it's
who are you? Who am I?
It's Salty Dog. Is that your name? I don't remember. Salty Dalton.
Salty Dalton.
Salty Dalton.
And Ben.
And
bringing you the Random Word Podcast for the first time.
Yeah, on the airways. This is a big deal. This is a very big deal. And for those who are unfamiliar with, we had there was a website that existed.
Well, we just explained that, so we don't need to let them explain it again. But so the intro was a hastily kind of put together thing on my end where I basically found a lot of sound effects, and then for the RWP,
it sounds like he's saying B.
That's because he is saying B.
I knew it. I actually had no idea. It drove me insane.
I'm gonna find the spot.
RWB. Okay, I thought it was, because and it drove me insane.
Because when he said P, because I found a sound clip where it was a guy saying A, B, C, D, going through every letter. And then I found but the P did not really sound strong enough for a P, so I took the B and just put it in there. I was like, it kind of sounds like P, and then I was like, it's gonna work. Gun. Yeah, a little behind the curtain. Tell the folks at home, because I've had this question before as well. Where does Salty Dalton just? I'm gonna spill his beer. Does Salty Dalton just exist because Salty Dalton, like it has like that alliterative type of, or where did that nickname come from? Because you kind of I had never heard you really refer to yourself like that until that first episode where you kind of pulled it out.
So especially through college, mainly, I went through about 3 different nicknames, but they were all depending where I was. So
Sure.
with you guys, and I haven't been
With
called,
us, you were face.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
what we
was
call
me,
it.
guys. Face.
Yeah, douchebag, a-hole.
Because you guys would call me Dirty D.
We did, yes.
And I haven't heard that in a while, so I guess you guys have moved past it. But like that was
well,
like
you're married now. Like we can't call you dirty.
that was
D.
like a regular thing. Like you guys would just call me that
Yeah.
all the time from freshman year until
Yeah, you were Dirty D for years.
years. And so that was with you guys. And then when I started working at Mason, I ended up getting the name Big Cat
I remember that
because of the cat shirts and like just generally like I was like, I don't know, that they had a reason for it.
Sure.
And the actual managers of the building liked it. And they were like, hey, Big Cat. And I put on my name tag.
Yeah, I remember.
And then that evolved into Salty Dalton because I got progressively saltier and more apathetic about generally my work environment and life. Just because, and like I have a very dry sense of humor, so I would say these things, and like people who haven't been working there long would be like, What is wrong with you? I'm like,
that's
nothing.
just Salty Dalton. That's what he does.
So some people are calling me Salty Dalton, and then I made that my Instagram tag because I'm always
right.
salty about something. I always have something to complain about.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
So that's where that came from.
So before we move to the next clip here, let's talk a little bit
literally
about.
does feel like, what do you call it? Like the Talking Dead?
Yeah, it
where
does-
they
it
do
does feel like that.
the recap of
Let's
like.
go ahead and play that clip.
Well, this is the surest way to get people to tune out of our program.
So the
We don't even have jokes.
yeah. So the intro, so the intro evolution is something that's kind of interesting about this show in that we've gone through probably 4 or 5 different iterations of the intro because we had this one for a little while and then we paid Dylan McCloskey, who is some voice actor off of
DMC.
Fiverr, to record a little intro for us. And so we used that for a while. And then we kind of came up with the idea that after every season, we would create a new intro.
Yeah, I was really difficult about it too. Because like you'd send me something and I had this vision and I was like, it's
was
not right. But I was like, how do I tell them this without, because like, I'm not doing anything here. So I have to approach it knowing that I'm contributing 0 to this. I'm not doing any of the editing. I'm just a guy in the chair. And I'm like, Ben, I don't like the intro.
So I had to basically kind of guess what was in his head and also make it my own. And we went through, so we had Dylan McCloskey intros for a while. Then we had the other voiceover actor do the, talk about like broadcasting from any realm that will have them or whatever it was. And then this most recent season, we created the newest intro where we actually use clips from the show.
This is the intro that I want to get to because this is the one I think is the most fun.
Yeah,
but I didn't have enough time, and I took it from like our earlier ones, so I couldn't get like super great sound bites. But I gave you the little crosswalk, and I was like, "Go here for this timestamp."
Yeah.
And this is one of my more favorite ones you've ever made.
Yeah, we got a good one going right now. But for those who've been listening for the last 55 episodes or so, you've heard some of these. You've heard some of those intros and things like that. And before we play the next clip, I want to play the first voice memo of the night, and that is going to come from a guy who. You know, when you're talking about this show, there's some diehard fans.
But there's a man behind the curtain.
There's a man behind the curtain who we enlisted because we were like, look, Salty Dalton and I, we aren't marketing people.
No, we're busy people. We barely have time to put together a coherent sentence.
We have a couple hours a week that we can hop on these microphones and make, fart jokes and then call it a day and people like
make
it.
Make 9/11 jokes, everything. Yeah,
we've made some pretty offensive jokes. A lot of jokes that I have removed from the audio.
100%. We had to take those out.
Because they were so bad.
Super offensive.
That is one of my favorite parts.
Would ruin your career.
So we have a guy who has been there with us the whole way, but not necessarily the most valuable way. No matter how hard we've asked, we even have given him his own episodes before. There was the Pete Cast, and then there was the Pete Cast 2.0. He has had 2 appearances on the Random Word podcast, including a official evaluation.
Like you're really setting this up and like there are 6 people that have ever been on this show.
Well,
I feel like you're just like...
That's not necessarily a surprise.
It's like, who's that Pokemon?
No. I'm not trying to surprise people. I just want to set this up because this guy has been, again, a interesting part of the show, whether he likes it.
He's been a unwilling core member of what the RWP is.
And here is his voice memo.
He's only here so he doesn't get fined.
Exactly. Yeah. Here's his voice memo to us.
Hey, Ben and Salty Dalton. Congratulations on 1 year anniversary of the
He did not want to do this.
Random Word Podcast.
Sincere. It
Super stoked for you guys.
Did you hear that?
I'd say my favorite moment of the show was how you both expected me to do marketing work for you without paying me. So I'd say that was probably the best.
We definitely offered to pay him.
Highlight for me, and Ben calling himself the Rain Man and peeing everywhere.
Where is he recording this from? You hear the deep acoustics?
He literally sounds like he's recording in a cave somewhere.
In a chamber.
He sounds underground. CMO Pete. Talk about him for a moment here.
Let's talk about how he said super stoked for you guys, like he was reading off of a script.
CMO Pete did not want to be a part of this show one bit, but at the same time, we were able to incorporate him a lot. I think I've been told by a couple of randos that our calls with CMO Pete are some of their favorite moments on the show because of how little how quickly he wants to get off the phone in those conversations.
He doesn't want to talk to us
because of how little he cares. But CMO Pete has been on, like I said, on the show a couple times. One of my favorite CMO Pete moments was the employee evaluation, where we evaluated him. Remember the evaluation form?
I do.
And we went through different sections and graded him on different things. And then we asked him at the end we gave him a couple things that he had to do. And it was like, you have to listen to an episode.
You have to secure us an interview, and you have to do...
And you have to bring us a new listener or something like that, which is funny because I think he's actually done that.
He's done one of it. Congratulations, Pete, for doing one of the 3.
The listener that he did bring in has been pretty active on our social media.
She has, yes.
So good for her. Good for Pete, I guess. Let's move to the next clip of our first episode. And this is a clip where you kind of have us in our first time kind of figuring out, all right, are we going to curse on this show? Are we not going to curse? Are we going to bleep
Well,
it?
It's great, too, because the running joke of this entire show is we curse, but we bleep out things that don't need to be, and we leave some stuff.
Well,
it's a mixed bag.
Because the joke of the show is I sometimes am editing the show pretty late at night, and there's been times where I've dozed off while editing, so 20 minutes may go by, and I could have missed 5 curse words.
We should release this one as just raw.
No, we can't do that now. No. So here's a little bit of that.
So as you may have guessed, we may talk about a lot of different things in this podcast that may not be exactly about the word, which we will get to the word very soon, the big reveal for the episode 1. It's going to be a big deal.
What was their first word?
Think of this as, for those of you who are on your morning commute or your afternoon commute, you're in the car, you're on the metro, you're on the subway.
Hear the birds
the guy
in the
corner's
background.
peeing on his hands again. Whatever you are doing right now, this is all purely for your entertainment, to kind of waste some time. This is not going to be something where you're going to come away and tell your friends, you know what, I learned something today. Maybe it is, though. Maybe it is. I guess I can't really say that yet. But we're here to provide you a little bit of entertainment in your boring, meaningless life.
Yeah, 'cause the one thing I do turn to in a time of need, so like most of you listen to this podcast, i.e. the 2 of us, because I'm not sure if we have a fan base yet.
Yeah. Those of you listening to the podcast, guy that accidentally typed in a different word wrong.
Yeah, damn it, autocorrect, you took me to something I didn't want to hear.
Good joke right there.
That's
a good joke.
Sometimes
Here's a key
2 hours a day,
phrase, key
and
line
the only
from the
thing
show.
that stops me from just looking at that bridge I drive over and just careening over the edge and letting the sweet release of death embrace me is podcasts.
That's a wild way to die.
This is before
That is a wild way to die. To drive off a bridge.
Experience.
I don't even know if that's possible.
Well, the level of commitment that
some
takes,
cursing's coming up.
I'd be scared to just jump off a bridge without a
Do
car.
you think anybody's jumped off a bridge and then, as they're kind of halfway to the water, they're going, you know what, bad idea. This was not what I should not have
right
done
off
this.
the bat.
Well, at that point, they just kind of reach into their console because every car is actually built with this. You should probably look at your user's manual.
Oh,
they flip the
okay.
button like in Spy Kids, and so their car actually turns
so
into
much
a
more clever.
submarine. and then they escape. And
I think that's what Toyota does. Is they actually everything that they do is based on Spy Kids.
I think so. I mean, that's a pretty good way to live your life because
Spy Kids,
Machete would be your uncle.
Did you know there was like 3 or 4 Spy Kids movies? Did you ever see anyone past one? I just remember the thumb people. That's the only thing I remember. Which nowadays I feel like somebody would be like, you know what? Those look like giant dicks, and maybe we shouldn't do that. I think in 2018 they go, you know what? Dick people, not a good idea for a kids movie.
By the way, so this podcast is not for small children.
Oh yeah.
I
by the way,
gave
we haven't figured that out yet.
We might use words like berry and tropical Sprite,
but we beep it out.
Dick
so
house.
You'll hear a lot of beeps.
Yeah.
In
So
this
ideally, when they're listening to this, they heard a lot of beeps the first part paired with strange words like panties.
Whoa,
and
Jesus Christ! Isn't every panties technically? Isn't that kind of the idea?
I feel so dirty
so
after saying that.
Out to give you more of like
I've never said that before in my life.
Curiosity.
Like,
what did they say? Because
I
could just be saying berry, and it's gonna be bleeped, and you're not gonna know because did I really curse there?
Oh yes, this is true. We will be cursing. We will be talking about random and we will be having.
That one, I feel like the bleep came towards the end of that word.
If we only bleeped a few curse words, so the expectation was they're like, are these people for real?
So we had that's something that it's funny because we mentioned is we kind of. It's kind of a joke, the fact that we bleep words, because
we don't need to.
We don't need to because there are no children listening to this podcast.
It also already has the explicit tag.
It has the explicit tag, so really there's no need at all to bleep anything, but we like to kind of do it. We've bleeped names that we didn't want to say on the show. We bleeped curse words, but if you are a diehard rando, then you have heard plenty of curse words unbleeped on this show. That's for sure. But you were talking about how you feel like you were funnier a year ago.
Way funnier. Oh my God. I would have never gone for a Spy Kids dig out of the hip pocket for a car falling off a bridge.
In the next clip, I do have some Spy Kids talk. We actually expanded upon some of that, and Spy Kids was one of the early core pieces. Exactly.
And we said we were going to mention it in every episode. Yeah. And I actually, for the back of my mind, I would always make a mental note to be like, I gotta throw in some type of Spy Kids reference, and then I forgot. I just never did it again.
Spy Kids was because if you think about the year of this show, there are a couple jokes and things that have stood the test of time throughout the year as far as things that get constantly brought up. I'd say the Rockets kind of joke was something that we had pretty early and we used for the first couple months, and then we kind of stopped at one point.
Well, you and I also couldn't agree on the actual slogan.
The slogan for Rockets.
Yeah, and that was a big feud that almost tore us to pieces, and so I think we kind of put it away.
Because I even had at one point Dylan McCloskey.
You paid someone to do the recording thing, but it wasn't the recording that I thought it was going to be.
Because it was Rockets. When was the last time Blue Apron flew around the effing sun? And that was the slogan.
It just didn't sound good, you know? When you say it like that, it didn't sound good.
I know what you mean. I'm thinking back on it. I've got an email from a member of Rando Nation here.
I wonder what Dylan McCloskey was thinking when he was recording.
He was
like, what the f***
we unfortunately did not get a voice memo from Dylan McCloskey.
Did you email him?
Us. Oh. I did not.
Well, that's probably why. He'd be like, well, you could pay me to... We could have paid him. We could have paid him.
We could have paid a lot of people to leave voice memos for us.
Probably could have.
So this is from a rando. They say, hey, guys, you don't have to read this out on the show if you don't want to, since it's not particularly funny or anything, but I just want to say thank you so much for the past year of episodes. I love podcasts, and yours quickly passed the likes of The Dollop and other well-established shows to become my number one favorite. The best podcasts are the ones where the host personalities and chemistry make you forget you aren't actually there in the room with them. She said, there have been many late Thursday nights where I've been feeling bad, and then like a ray of slightly drunk sunshine, a new episode appears, and I immediately hit download. After sampling so many podcasts over the years, I can really tell how much time and effort and skill gets put into every episode. Although you guys do a great job of portraying an air of spontaneity and constant self-deprecation, I've picked up on just how much editing and thought really does go into this product.
How about that?
The quality is higher than it has any right to be for just being two guys in a basement drinking beer. Little things like segment length, keeping in just the right amount of mess-ups, and the way you help guests feel confident and included go a long way. I also appreciate how respectful you guys are of women. Wow. Yeah. I know that you probably don't even realize it because it just seems normal to you, but it really is refreshing and such a male-centric show. One example is the story Salty Dalton... Wait, hold on. And then it It cut off.
It cuts off. And then she hit the word limit. It's over.
No, but it was an email. Hold on, let me reopen this.
It's gone. It's lost of time, like episode 3.
Oh, we'll talk about that.
Maybe it was meant to not be finished. Maybe that's part of their joke.
Yeah, maybe the joke was like Salty Dalton.
So our fans hate us as much as we hate them.
Oh, I've got it. So one example is a story Salty Dalton told about finding out that his friend in high school was cheating on his girlfriend. So many guys would have viewed it as a badge of honor to be hooking up with 2 girls at once, but you both were disgusted by the behavior. I'm sure it sounds silly to you, but hearing stuff like that helps us ladies feel a little more optimistic about the future and the next generation. Thanks again for your hard work and creativity with the show. I look forward to this upcoming year's worth of episodes. P.S. Bring back intern Will.
Intern Will getting a shout out.
Yeah, so that was thank you for the email.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We appreciate that. I trust us. Very little effort goes into this show. So anything that you are interpreting as us putting in extra work is not real.
I mean, honestly, it just sounds like we need to degrade women more.
Yeah, so it sounds like what she's saying is she's. I think in that email it was saying I'd like more degradation of women and sexism. So I guess boobs, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Freaking women in there.
Right?
They're so dumb,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. Actually,
super dumb.
Yeah. Thank you for the email. We've got a couple others to read. But before we do that, let's play this next clip here, Salty Dalton, which is
half of it is induced by fear of what Ashley would do
exactly.
to me.
It's complete fear of our wives.
God.
That's what it comes down to, honestly.
That's how you say they beat the respect into you, right?
That
help me. Please, someone help
to
me.
us. Yeah. In fact,
if anyone here is working from social services,
we're the ones that are facing that. So this next segment, we're going to talk a little more about Spy Kids, and then we're also going to reveal the very first word on the show, which we kind of spoiled earlier. But my
bad.
No, it's fine.
I'm sorry. Apparently, you said there's no show doc, and you come in here and you're narrating it like it's a 30 for 30 ESPN clip about
I spent a lot of time on this.
Apparently, you did.
So let's play this next clip.
I'm feeling lost over here.
We should do this and do a Spy Kids podcast where all we do is talk about the Spy Kids movie. Not any of the other ones, just the first one. And episode 1, examination. Were the thumb peoples actually dicks?
100%.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
They might have been.
I understood they're made out of clay, but were they anatomically correct?
Being
Being made of thumbs raises a lot of questions, but how scary would it be if that thumb person took off that jumpsuit and there was a smaller thumb,
right there
in the correct position, but it was a thumb, so you could show it on TV.
You know the guy that made the clay design kind of threw one in there as a joke.
Well, and they're all sitting there oh yeah, well we need a monster. Be well I've been playing with this clay. I came up with this dick monster. Do you want to use this?
Great job, Gary. We needed a monster, and you put your thumb there, and I guess we're just going to use that. And yeah, it's again as we'll hopefully talk about Spy Kids every episode is what I'm thinking, but
which didn't happen.
I'm gonna go on record and say that was probably my funniest joke for the entire podcast.
Yes. Oh, for sure.
Could you imagine
the main event here? We got some topics later on.
Oh, we got to introduce the word.
Let's get into.
I thought we were gonna talk about Spy Kids more. I'm really
again how this works
discussion.
is.
Oh, we will.
Every episode, just like we did on the blog, Dalton will come up with the word for the show. I do not know the word until Dalton tells me the word, obviously, as any type of information
Nervous laughter
works.
From someone who knows the word.
But, we try to keep it random. We try to keep it fun. And Dalton, why don't you go ahead and reveal the word here for episode 1?
I can't remember if we used the drum roll
podcast.
Yeah, this is actually the beginning of the show.
Welcome into the Random Word Podcast. Your word of the day is flibberty-gibbet.
Yes.
And that's not made up. That's a real word.
Sure it is. Yep.
And it means a frivolous, flighty, or excessively talkative person. Now,
flibberty-gibbet. It's a noun. The origin is it's late Middle English. The peak usage of
when's the last time you did the f***ing origin?
Because I don't know the words until you tell me.
1826, which happened to also be the American
Temperance
Society was founded.
You were like, I have no idea what the word is. I say the word. Oh, by the way, that was in 1868 Middle English. How else do it? As a listener, if I heard that and then it'd be like, wow, he was oddly prepared for a very specific word that sounds made up.
So for the very first word of the show, I did know it because you sent over a format and I think that was pre the days that you would actually cross it out. Or redact.
Well, we didn't even have enough on there. It was like a sheet and a half, and
it was not much.
Maybe we talk about this.
So I looked up the word ahead of time and tried to find like fun facts about the word, and did that for the very first episode, and never did it again, unfortunately. But flibberty gibbet. So talk to the people at home about how you even like came up with how did you find that word? Like, what did you do? Was it just like literally Googling random words, and that was the first thing that popped up? Yes.
I don't.
You don't remember?
I mean, that's not a huge thing. I mean, I don't want to overhype this.
No.
I have a system, and I have two apps I use on my phone.
Is the system that you used for episode 1 the same system you use today?
For the random word blog. Yes, but today it's also mixed in with the word calendar you got me.
Sure. So you consult multiple word generations.
Yes, I have multiple word generations, and literally a word that looks semi-interesting, I click on it, and I'm like, oh, this seems like it might be okay. And we don't really talk about the word anymore, so honestly, it's just window dressing. I just go like, here's a word? Oh, like, open a dictionary, point here.
The funniest thing about the word is, and the track of the show, is the fact that the more episodes we've done, the less and less time is...
It's becoming a nuisance. In fact, I would love it if we could get rid of the word altogether.
No, because we need the word for the title of the show. Because that's what we use.
And we used to use it in sentences. We don't do that anymore. We don't do anything with this word. We make a huge thing. We have a lead-in where it's like, the random word is, and then I say it, and it doesn't seem like the same anymore, and it's just sort of there, because as soon as I finish with the definition, all right, let's move into sponsors, ladies and gentlemen.
Because we have like 50 bits that we're trying to get in the episode, so we don't spend enough time on the word. We'll start spending a little more time on the word.
No, I think we probably should.
In
fact, I think we should just cut out the sponsors altogether.
Wow. So this is a big discussion that we're having right now on the show, because the next clip is actually the first sponsors of the show. So let's play that first. Then I want to play another voice memo. But after this clip, let's talk a little sponsor talk here. We'll settle it right now.
So we'll go through some of our sponsors for this episode. So we have very... we were joking about the Rolling Rock thing earlier, because we actually have some legitimate...
I'm drinking Rolling Rock.
Throwbacks to the original episode.
And you would be surprised at the level of commitment that these sponsors have. I mean, I was wondering, like, when some of these sponsors came in, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? And they're like, yeah, no, we'd love to give you this money.
Yeah, we're on board 100%. And honestly, we just... I mean, who are we to slap away free money?
Who are we to slap away free money?
Exactly. We were like, you know what? Are you sure you want to do this? And they're like, no, we're definitely sure. So
the bit
one of our sponsors today, Google Glass. Google Glass is sponsoring this podcast, and their recent
I was also
slogan
super worried about
Google
lawsuits,
Hey,
because just if it happened to get out
we
there.
Were a thing? Do you remember when Google Glass?
Of course I remember Google Glass.
And we're like, we definitely remember Google Glass.
Google Glass.
Yeah, it's actually pronounced Googly Glass.
Googly Glass, yes.
Yeah, Googly Glass.
It's the glasses
Flibberty Gibbet and Googly Glass.
The glasses you put on to Google funny cat memes while
it's something to Google with your eyes.
Yeah.
When you could Google with your hands, but maybe your hands are occupied. With your phone, I guess.
How do you
you're on Google. You're Googling something else, so you need your eyes. So Google Glass.
I don't know what any of that
look
means.
really hard at something.
Do we have any other sponsors for today?
Yeah, we actually have Ferrari.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I remember this one.
Ferrari took the big step and entered the podcast world. It was super, super random. They came out of the blue, said, hey, we heard about your stuff. We're interested.
And that's the type of audience that we have for this podcast.
Yeah,
we're
not... Yeah,
we have Ferrari people.
We are. I mean, we cater to that crowd.
We're the Ferrari
right?
of podcasts.
How pretentious would a Ferrari sponsor be on a podcast? Like, it would relate to the masses, to people who are in a Honda Accord, knee-deep in traffic, crying to themselves, going, "Oh yeah,"
on their way to their second job.
Yeah, I'm way to listen to this podcast where they regularly talk about
I'm telling
Ferraris
you, we lost
Ferrari issues. But some of the highlights of this Ferrari ad are the anti-poor people detection devices.
Always good
the built-in
value.
navigation actually can realize and track in real time the homeless population, and it will reroute you accordingly.
So don't go down that street. Go down this one.
Yeah, it's honestly incredible, the technology nowadays. And they actually have, the old-timey things they put on trains
you
to
had
get
no idea what
cows
this
out
was.
of the
This
way?
is a real thing.
That kind of like battering ram?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, well, you should Google it.
Okay,
but
I'll Google battering ram trains cows.
Yeah.
So I had this exact same discussion with Jake
Sure.
And he was like, that's not what it's called. That's not what it was for. It's to push snow out of the way. And I said, no, it's for cows.
And it's what trains have?
It's what trains have in the front. And it was originally made like during when they were building all the railroads and stuff. Like,
it's how it comes
a cow
to, like,
has
a
never
point.
seen a train before.
Yeah.
A cow is just like, what's with this metal stuff on the ground? They don't even know it's metal. They're just kind of walking, doing what a cow does.
Sure.
And so they'd be all over the tracks. And the train, it takes a lot to slow down a train like that. And if you do, it might cause more damage to the engines and stuff. So they would just maintain speed, and they would build this little pointed thing. And basically, if the cow was there, the cow would no longer be there when the train got there, if you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
And that way, it wouldn't get rolled under the tracks either. What it did was it was meant to push it away, or
chop it in half.
if it's going fast, it probably would have exploded it. I'm not saying it was great.
Commas.
It's not optimal.
It's like only $150,000 to put on.
Okay.
It's really nothing major.
A drop in a bucket, as they say.
Yeah, and
That's what they
basically
say.
it'll mow down
A drop in
anyone
a bucket,
front of
Ben.
you so that they don't touch your
smart.
paint. Because
Smart.
the second someone poor touches a Ferrari paint job, it just
It goes down.
disintegrates.
does.
Right?
And the value of the car immediately
yeah, it
goes
becomes
down by $500,000.
Yeah, something like that. Just
Which is like 6 times the price
So
of
there's
a Ferrari.
binders on the side of the Ferraris now, where they're just like mirrors, and like a homeless guy looks at the car and he just
This is
sees
so
himself
sad.
and he goes, "Oh, I'm homeless and I'm sad."
yeah.
And that's what happens.
That might be a real thought.
It
that
is.
goes
It
through
is
his
actually
brain.
a real thing. I actually
Like,
work for Ferrari.
If I was
decide.
listening to a podcast and like I heard the Ferrari soundbite pop up, I would instantly think that I'm in the wrong
Because all the
podcast.
podcast sponsors are all the same. It's the same 5 sponsors, and they just rotate around the podcast.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
Casper Mattress.
Yeah,
it's,
yeah.
it's Blue Apron. It's all the same guys, and it's like, I use our code, blah blah blah, to get $2 off, and it's
So-
always like a $500 product, and it's like $2 off. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, so
podcast.
if you use the discount code
for Ferrari,
R-
Ferrari.com.
RWP, you'll save exactly $0 on every purchase you
It's a
ever
big
make.
discount.
But make sure you enter it in there because we could use the searches.
Yeah, we get 10% of that sale for the Ferrari, so make sure to enter it in there.
Yeah, you don't actually get anything. Your 10% goes to us.
It
but
does. Actually, you might as well just send us the 10% before you even buy the Ferrari. So just send us money.
We definitely
our Venmo,
did not know when to end
RWP.
bits.
That's RWP. Just send us money, and that will be like, okay, that will go towards the Ferrari.
This is painful.
That's
only been a
that's
year,
one of-
but this
those
feels
are
like
two of
looking
our-
at your
our
high
key
school yearbook.
sponsors.
And there's like there's so many things we could
Here's
have
the
done
last
better.
one. Here's the last one.
Just rockets.
Just rockets in general.
I love this one.
You know, the kind that you shoot off on 4th of July are included.
Yep, definitely.
The kind that are traveling to space are also obviously included.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
rockets
major
definitely just on board. The general concept of a rocket was super well receptive to our pitch in the boardroom.
Yeah, the Rockets were really into this idea. So we're
Like the
we're
Rockets
definitely-
themselves were.
We've got them. We got some more sponsors.
That's probably my
coming
favorite
next
clip
week, but
of
keep
sponsor.
these guys in mind as you're doing your shopping for Rockets or Google Glass or Ferraris. I mean, just keep our code in mind. Again, RWP, Random Word Podcast.
So that was the very first edition of the sponsors, and that was the introduction of Rockets. And over the last year, our sponsors have also evolved into different things because
Yeah, it started from like sort of real things, and literally it got to the point where I'd be sitting at my desk and I'm like, stapler. Is there something with a stapler here? Can we advertise a stapler? I literally was just saying phone, stapler,
Yeah.
anything that was an
and those were
inanimate
sponsors
object.
of the show.
They were, and I was like, this is getting nowhere.
I remember Shovels was a sponsor.
It was. That one was actually kind of funny. I think I remember that one.
We had a good
and
bit
it was
with
when we
that.
went into the body and stuff like that. So what I think we need to do is trash the sponsor concept that we thought we knew.
Sure.
And we do one, but you and I act out a commercial.
Oh, see, the funny thing
A
is
completely improvised commercial.
at one point we kind of did.
we started to, and then we got away from it.
Because we got the commercial music in the background, and we started kind of taking turns doing like a commercial. We can get back to that because what we did was we did inanimate objects for a while. Then we did fishbowl inventions, where we basically pretended they were sponsors of the
Yeah.
show. And then
Which
now,
is sort of what we do now again, too, is like I put those two things together, and I'm just like, figure it out.
yeah, you're gonna have to just pitch these two random words as best you can. I'm okay with going back to the commercial route
And that's
think
what
that
I'm
could
thinking
work.
is I think I'm going to put...
because that's where Good Morning came from.
that is where
because
it
that
came
was
from.
a commercial
Morning.
for shovels, I think. Because it was like
Yeah,
rocks,
hey, buddy.
shovels.
No, that was wheelbarrow.
wheelbarrow.
Oh my god, that was so great because you were saying like
Yeah.
a 3-year-old kid was using
Yeah.
a wheelbarrow. Yeah, so what I think we should do going forward is I'll put a prompt up there. It could be a random 2 words.
Okay.
It's improv, and then you and I have to do a commercial about it.
Okay.
Or it could even
I'm
be
down
like,
with that.
hey, Jim, what are you working on over there? And I'll be like, well, I didn't think I was working on anything. And then
I'm down with that.
Okay.
Well, you guys, Rando Nation, just got a window behind the
guess
scenes.
what you guys
right
haven't
there.
done? You haven't got anything.
Well, yeah, that's true. They
don't send in anything.
They don't do anything.
All they do is send in dumb questions.
That's true. We will play another voice memo from another guy who has appeared on the show as well.
Is this Nick?
This is Nick, our friend Nick, who famously on the podcast told us
that he only listens to the first 20 minutes.
10
minutes.
I thought it was
it's
10.
10 minutes. He's like, well, by that time I'm at work. And I'm like, well, you just don't keep listening to it? What about on the way home?
So for a few episodes, the first 10 minutes, we'd basically dedicate the show to Nick because we knew that was the only amount of time he would listen to.
That's the only time he would hear our message.
And then he just completely stopped listening. But there was one episode that we had Nick on the show, and that was the night before your wedding.
Yeah.
Where
we did it on Pizza Weird.
Yeah,
common area quad in his apartment.
We took the show remote and we recorded in this courtyard at
minimal
CMO
lighting.
Pete's place.
It fit
It got
exactly
very
for
dark
us.
at the end,
Yeah.
and the goose appeared on that. But here's Nick's voice memo to us.
I don't think I've heard
Hey
this
there, Ben and Salty Dalton and Rando Nation. It's Nick here. You
I'm
know,
in the monkey
congratulations to you two on keeping this going for the last year, giving the fans what they want. You know, I think it's honestly maybe one of the longest commitments you guys have ever stuck to. And I'm really proud of you guys.
Oh, that hurts,
It's been
but it's
great
true.
listening to you every week, and I can definitely say that, you know, obviously the best episode was when I was on the air just before Salty Dalton's wedding. And, you know, my favorite thing to listen to is when you guys do your games, Fishbowl being my favorite. Love hearing those creative ideas. And then besides that, you know, anytime Ben's just, you know, making fun of Salty Dalton, those
what
have
the
to be my
Nick?
favorite moments. You know, they make me laugh the most. But anyways, congratulations again, and keep it up.
That's it. Okay, that was Nick. We don't have time to say.
I thought he was going a different direction with that. I thought he was going to dunk
Yeah.
on you, and then he
I
did
was-
a reverse dunk
I thought
on
he was
me.
too.
And
He did. No, Nick did appear on an episode, and again, he hasn't really been a big part of the show. Like I said, he only listens to 10 minutes. And
Yeah,
then,
he's sort of here.
yeah, he just exists. But
He's like part of the mythos. It's we talk about a lot of like crazy. Well, we haven't even covered like half our crazy college stories, but that's
Yeah.
like the core group.
So Nick was one of our. So Nick and CMO Pete, the four of us, all roomed together for years in college, which is obviously where this, you know, the connection of all of us stems from, and that's where a lot of the stories come from. Is from the four of us just doing dumb college related stuff like everybody does.
That's how I met Nick.
Is you had class with him, right?
I had like a class with him or two, so we were both in the same major, which is kinesiology. And we would take the shuttle to this other campus, and that's where like most of our classes were.
Yeah.
It wasn't even on like the main campus, which was ironic, not till like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I remember freshman year, I'm getting on this bus like every freaking day, and I'm sitting next to someone different each time. I sat next to that one girl where I was just like,
Yes.
hey, can I have your number? And she's, no. And that was a horrific ride because I
you
did that
asked
at the beginning.
which is
And something you should always do at the end.
Advice to the folks at home is don't ask the girl out at the beginning of a long bus ride.
Yes. Oh, God.
In case she says no.
God, that was so bad. That was so bad.
Yeah, because you
And I
also
was on
had
the
to
inside seat, too. So it wasn't like I could just get off on a stop, right?
No, because you at that point would have gone off anywhere.
Absolutely. I would have jumped out of the fucking van if
Yeah.
I had a choice.
Yeah.
And so I remember sitting next to this guy one day, and he's sitting there on the bus. I mean, he's like he's a big lifting guy,
big guy.
kind of stocky.
Because Nick was a
Didn't-
lifter.
Didn't say a word. We did this for a couple days where I'd sit next to him. He would say like one or two words like, hey, what's up? But every morning at like 7:15 a.m. on that bus, his fucking watch would go off. And without saying anything else, he would just go, time for chicken. And he reaches into his bag and grabs out a Tupperware of cold chicken and rice and then would eat it and then put it away. And this happened for weeks. He would do this pattern, and I remember asking him, I was like, hey, man, what's with the chicken?
Yeah,
what are you doing with the chicken? Because am I sitting next to a weirdo? And we were talking about it. He's like, yeah, I do like bodybuilding and all this other stuff. We talked about that for a while, and then we became kind of friends, kind of like good classmates.
Yeah.
And then after freshman year, we had to put together all the housing stuff. He was just like, I guess he didn't hang out with a ton of people, but he was just like,
because of the chicken and rice.
Yeah, he obviously secluded himself. But I remember him saying something like he didn't have a place to stay, and I was just like, hey, I'm actually putting together a group because I don't want to be paired with randos.
Yeah.
Rando Nation.
Rando Nation. Yeah.
Unless it's Rando Nation.
Yeah.
And then that led to me pulling him into our group, which then rolled into sophomore year, and then we stayed together ever since. Yeah, but literally just chicken and rice every f***ing day. With his little watch would go off, and he'd be like, it's chicken time.
That was Nick.
It's like a less cooler version of, who said like it's clobbering time? Is that the Hulk?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but it's chicken time, and instead of like destroying something, he'd pull out a little
way
Tupperware.
Less fun. Got another email in the subject line. Congrats on 1 year. Hello, wow, my favorite podcast ever. Congratulations on hitting 1 year. You guys are the best. My favorite episode would have to be the one with the quiz.
That one was a good one.
The greatest quiz master ever. Every other episode is tied for a close second. I can't wait for year 2. You can keep this anonymous or not, whatever works. Abby. That is my wife, the quiz master, who did a good job. Great job.
That was
Ashley on the scorekeeping. Ashley actually had a tough job because I could not keep track of the score while we were playing because you're so concentrated on, okay, am I getting the recording down? Is the video on? Then we got to actually do the quiz. And so like, the score, and you and I both would cheat, of course, at this game if we could have. Yeah. So Ashley was actually able to be like the voice of reason with the scorekeeping and keep all the together.
Yes, yeah. No, they did a fantastic job.
So that was honestly. The Quizcast. If you want to go back and listen to that. So that's Abby emailing in.
And if that's any indication of how little we remember the words
for
the things that we tell you.
Oh, absolutely.
Go look at the Quizcast. But I did win. I did become Quizmaster.
You did.
Probably, I don't know if we should formally change my title to Grandmaster.
No, because that's kind of like KKK stuff, isn't it?
What? No, that's Grand Wizard.
Grand Wizard. Sorry. No, you're not. Okay, I got to remember.
No, don't even say.
Not KKK.
You're right. I'm not KKK.
You're not.
I'm not a crook.
Yeah, he's not. Oh, that was a good bit too
for I'm not a crook.
You did that for about like 2 months.
Yeah,
I think you did that. I'm not a crook. So this next clip has to do with a subject matter that we have.
Why would you even bring the KKK into this?
I didn't.
Every
bring
sentence
them in.
after that felt weird. Like I had to defend myself, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm good.
Anytime
that white sheet means nothing. It's just on my guest bed.
Dylan, why are there holes in this?
Why are there eye holes in this sheet?
I'm a ghost. I was a ghost for Halloween. Yeah. Okay. This next clip is another subject matter that has been a part of the show since the first episode, and that is the subject of bathrooms. This was our first bathroom discussion here, so let this play and we can discuss.
That's my hot take. Public restrooms, not fun. It's one of those things where we've all kind of had some pretty awkward interactions in there. I went many a years without ever peeing during the day at school.
Yeah,
I would run home and then I would pee at home and I would store it up all day. That was how I lived my life.
So if you
like
don't
a
mind,
camel,
Ben, I'll
would be fat.
Take the lead on the opening here.
I will turn it over to you.
Yeah. So I've got a myriad of bathroom stories which we can get to, but as Ben alluded, so when we were in college, it was. So Ben had some anxiety about public restrooms. We all do, right, guys? I mean, it's okay.
And women.
It's a little scary to do that with someone standing right next
guys
to you.
and women.
Yeah.
This is a hot take.
Okay, it's okay
really
to be scared of a public
women.
restroom. All right.
But not fans in a creepy way.
So we got up. We did our normal
just always
morning
watching.
routine.
It's fine.
We got bagels. We go back to the dorm. I had this weird thing where I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want anyone to see me doing homework at any point in time.
Yeah,
so I just pop on.
Solid.
I'd pop on the PS3 at the time, and I'd play some baseball. And it came time for Ben to leave for class, and so Ben left. I'm like, "See you, Ben. Have a good whatever." I didn't know
have a good
what
whatever was what
you
you
were taking.
would usually say to me.
Yeah, and so he goes, and I just remember getting like this text, or like he comes back and. He texts me, he's like, on my way back. And then he gets into the dorm. And I'm like, hey, man, how are your classes? He's like, I don't know. I didn't go.
Yep.
And I was like, Ben, you left. Where else did you go? Did you just go, like, skip somewhere? And he's like, no, I was in the bathroom.
Yep.
I was like, for 6 hours? He's like, yes. He's like, I went to the bathroom right before my class. It was in the building Robinson A, maybe? A or B. I don't remember which one you were telling me about. But basically, it's in a high traffic area, and Ben didn't like to go with people sort of in the immediate vicinity of him, so he would just kind of remain motionless, like a T-Rex that can't see you. And this man sat there for basically 6 hours because there was always someone coming into the bathroom during the day.
I cannot go with somebody else there.
It's wild. And like I remember almost crying from laughing because I'm like, I'm sorry, you spent 6 hours in a stall. He's like, I couldn't leave. I didn't want anyone to see me. And he missed like 3 classes that day.
Oh yeah, I did. It probably directly affected my GPA, that exact moment. And I still, to this day, I'm in an office where there are 2 stalls. It is a dual stall situation. 2 stalls, 2 urinals.
Yeah,
Not a super busy floor, but anytime there is the other stall is occupied and I may have to do business in the stall, I turn right around and I leave that bathroom and I come back later. And there was one morning where I did that 3 times and the same pair of shoes were still underneath that other stall. I don't know what that guy was doing, but he was there all morning long and I was distraught.
And this reminds me, so I'm not necessarily anxious about the
bathroom.
Becomes a classic
what I don't
Salty
like
Dalton
is like
story. When people kind of break some unspoken rules.
Oh yeah, dude.
So I've been in 3 particular situations recently.
I have the worst goddamn
Not
luck.
in a position where I could.
I'm actually scared to go to the bathroom sometimes.
Super secret.
So yeah, secret squirrel activities. I was in. So we're in this. So we're in a double barrel, double stall situation.
I was just in the stall the other day.
Double.
Back in my old building.
And one is a handicap stall. And the
I almost
other
brought
is
a master lock.
Extremely small stall. I think they made up for all that room by just.
You're capable.
Yeah.
We're gonna give you the smallest situation
the smallest
as possible.
situation, yeah.
And you can't even complain because you have legs that work.
And so
Always
I was in a situation where I had to take the handicap stall, and I almost never take the handicap stall. And this will be for a reason that's about to be followed up with another story. I had to sit in the handicap stall, right? And what's weird about this door is the lock is always finicky, and everyone knows it. So what I thought I did is I thought I locked the door. And what's great about the door is it's about 30 feet from the actual toilet, give or take. So there's absolutely no way you could stop anything from coming in there.
No.
Even if
Which
it was
is a great
murder
bathroom
Literally
design.
for me,
the bathroom
to like
design
that
where the
Cubs
door
flag.
is nowhere near where you're sitting.
I'm on the
It
toilet.
was
That's the
designed
door.
by those people
Nothing
who
you
write
can
scary
do.
movies. You go, what would be
100%.
the most inopportune situation
It's a wasteland.
and layout for this scene?
A wasteland.
And so I'm sitting there.
It's like that area, the denuclearized zone.
Yeah, the DMZ. It's the DMZ.
Yeah.
I can't approach it. I'm stationary, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop someone from coming through that door. I'm literally reliving this in my brain.
Just came out of a meeting. This one guy's just being really aggressive, like, "Damn, man, that was the dumbest shit I've ever
This
heard
dude
of."
was the.
He's like, "Man, I gotta take a piss."
Yeah, that's,
And I'm assuming
that's how
his-
I get my anger out.
I'm assuming that his friend was at the urinal, because why would he be going into a stall to do number 1 when
Exactly.
stalls
What
are
are you,
for
an
number
animal?
2? Right? Yeah.
We all know the rules.
So he proceeds to just like in every movie you've ever seen when someone's hiding in a bathroom, like kick down the stall doors as he's going along. And there's only 2, so it was one then the other. But basically he rips on this first one, and there's a guy next to me. That guy see his shoes like visibly shift because he's a little nervous about why someone just tried to yank open a closed door. So these doors are closed. So
It's
context
a terrifying
clues.
feeling.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, this one's probably open. This door's a piece of shit." And he starts yanking at it. And so it was sort of locked, but like I said, the lock is finicky, right? So
I like how in this situation you were not like, "Hey, by the way, I'm in here."
well,
Dude, I
that's
was
just it.
paralyzed.
I was just like, the door's closed, man. Like, there's someone in the first
Context
one.
clues.
You got to use context.
But you gotta give him some type of
No,
clue.
you don't. The door
Hey, by the way,
closed.
I'm here. Like, it could be
That's
really
it.
quick, like, excuse me, I'm pooping right now.
So
Stall
he
doors
just-
don't start closed.
He takes the handle, and he just starts ripping on it. And so it pops
Thump.
wide open. I'm there, just freaking pants around my ankles. I lock eyes with this guy. He goes, "Oh my God." He doesn't close the door first. He goes, "Why didn't you lock the door?" And I said, "I thought I did."
He's just standing
You're
there
just
in the
pulling
doorway.
on it like a
I'm
savage
glad you're the
animal.
villain in this situation. Like, this is your fault. This is
Right.
all your fault. You went into a stall and took a poop. This is your fault.
So the bathroom stories, and we even told a bathroom story as recent as like last episode where I talked about my aunt walking in on me
Yeah.
pooping.
That it's something that I feel like it happens to a lot of people,
Yeah.
but no one ever talks about it because like they're just like, oh, that like no one's gonna be able to relate. Guess what? It's a real thing.
It happens all the time.
I've never had a fear of public restrooms until the last couple years, where these events just start happening, and this is with grown human beings in a professional environment.
It's funny because also one of the people that sent an email in, and I'll read hers in a moment. Her boyfriend, right now, they've been together for a long time. I met him at my last job, and the way I met him was in my last job there was only a couple stalls, and there were a billion people.
You met him through the stall?
No, here's what happened.
Instead of Tinder, maybe it's flush.
So
and you flush on the right one.
It would literally
you flush the ones that are bad. How would that work in an app situation?
What do you mean?
Would you wipe the good ones? No.
The good what?
It's really hard to turn a analogy into dating.
Yeah, I
thought you like met him in the bathroom, so it's like, what if you called it flush and you flush the ones you don't want to match with?
Instead of like Tinder.
And you wipe the ones you do?
I don't know what would be good in that scenario. It would be like, I mean, because
wash your hands.
Yeah, that would be what it is. But at that job, people would be like lining up like it's Disney World, like in the bathroom, waiting for like open stalls and open urinals.
That's
It'd be
the
like
worst
at a
part too,
baseball
because
game.
like if you have to use if you're taking the Browns to the Super Bowl,
sure.
If you're going into a business meeting, right?
Yeah.
In the bathroom,
yeah.
Nothing. I'd rather have someone yank on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And not have it and have it still stay closed, but be like, hey, occupied.
Yeah.
Then have a line of people listening.
Like being pressured.
Listening. Yeah. First of all, the biggest thing here is listening.
Yeah.
And then waiting. Because then there's this unreal expectation. You're just like, do I go to the bathroom extra hard?
Yeah.
Like, do I really need to make a show of it?
You gotta show some effort out there.
Yeah, do I gotta make this a whole production?
You need a coach to be proud of you.
Do I have to go fast?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, how fast can I do this? I'm trying to just use the restroom, but you feel like it literally is Disney World, where it's just like, hey, get off the ride, let's go.
Like your next man up.
Yeah, next man up.
And so this guy, so we were doing that, and then this guy, there was a stall door that was closed, and I had assumed somebody was in there, so that's why I didn't go and try to see. I was just like, oh, somebody's in there.
Yeah, context clues.
So
because
this
the door
guy,
was closed.
This guy was a boyfriend, and he's like, this door is always closed, and kicks it open, and then he goes into the bathroom. And now he's a great guy, and I like him a lot now. But that was my first introduction to him, so I didn't like him for 6 months because of this one scenario. Because I was like, "All right, man, sorry, I thought it was closed. I was using context clues. I didn't open."
No,
it.
You were doing the right thing. That guy is the type of guy that saw me naked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Let me just freeze that phrase. I'll just cut that phrase out, and that could be part of the beginning intro for next season.
What do you want me to say? I wasn't. I wasn't
Ben,
wearing clothes from the waist down.
Yeah,
I was.
No, I know. But note to Ben, use that clip for next year.
My wife hasn't even seen me like that. Well,
naked on
actually,
the toilet?
no. She actually just recently.
That's part of being married.
No. Going to the bathroom. So there's being naked, and then there's that vulnerability, right?
Sure.
That intimacy.
Yeah.
Where someone walks in. She actually has walked at me one time. I literally said, I'm using the restroom, then I'm getting in the shower.
Yeah.
And I closed the door.
That's a great 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I'm closing the door, and I didn't lock it because guess what I did? I announced that I would be using the restroom, and you know what most people do is they knock. They knock on any door
but
before
in your
you come.
own house?
Unless it's a clear glass door, and I can see what you're doing.
But
or it's the entrance
in your own house, though.
No, if
don't do it in your own house.
If somebody knows that they're in the restroom,
yeah.
If the door's closed, the lights are on. If it's not you, it's someone else.
Yeah, you don't need to knock in your own house. It's her
you're
domain.
The worst type
she can
of
do whatever
person.
she wants.
So I'm on the toilet.
Yeah.
The shower's running, right? But I'm just like, hey,
She probably thought you were in the shower.
I'm using the restroom first. But the thing is, there was no knock. It was just kick in, and I'm just like, I'm in the process of finishing up.
Yeah, but you're her husband. She doesn't care. I mean, it's part of the contract.
I felt like a dog.
It's part of the contract. Yeah. No,
imagine how a dog feels, where someone's just beady-eyed looking at him.
I want people to walk in on me. I don't care. I leave the door wide open. No, I don't leave the door wide open. That's gross. But I leave it unlocked. Yeah. I mean, if I'm at my family's house and it's a family dinner, I'm not gonna leave the door open.
Hold on. You just leave it unlocked.
Yeah, all the time. In my own house, why would I lock the door? I don't think a criminal is trying to break in to watch me, do number two.
You just no precaution. You just sort of do it.
If it's just me and my wife, yeah. if she walks into me, it ain't nothing she ain't seen before.
Does she actively watch you
No,
defecate?
she doesn't. But I'm saying.
Well, that's what you're saying to
but
me
it's
right
not
now.
like a scenario where it will be an issue. Where it'll
I'm
be
not
like,
saying that it's destroying our marriage because she saw me, Ben. I'm saying it's a level of intimacy that should only be reserved for maybe that, right? But this man got to look at me in the eyes
obviously,
while my raw ass was out there.
Well, I wouldn't put the guy in the same category as your wife.
Well, I hope
like,
not.
As far as like what they deserve to see.
First of all, don't ever. He did not deserve to see me in that situation.
No, that's what I'm saying.
In fact, he doesn't deserve to have a job.
Well,
if that's his thought process of just coming in from a meeting and just wanting to pee over everything,
yeah, I got you.
He could have used the faucet.
I'm glad this fires you up to this day. And that was a little clip from episode 1. We talked about it a year ago.
Porta potties. Porta potties?
Yeah.
Absolutely drive me insane.
Absolutely.
And if it wasn't weird, I would love to have a game show type thing. Not even game show, kind of like How to Catch a Predator.
But porta potties?
But how to catch the guy who up the porta potty for the rest of us.
Yeah.
Because
you can't
put a camera in there or
but
have...
you can't do that.
Who's the guy? Is it Walter Jennings?
Walter Jennings?
Who's the guy who catches...
The Predator? It's not Walter Jennings.
Who is it? Chris
he likes
something?
to say, it's Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen.
Walter Jennings stays away from pedophiles as
He's
much as
a
possible.
news reporter.
I don't even think that. I think you just made that. Peter Jennings is a news reporter. Ken Jennings won Jeopardy. I don't know who Walter Jennings is.
Let me real quick before we get back to this. Let me find out who Walter
Jennings is. It's going to be like a World War II general, Walter Jennings. Peter Jennings was the news guy. Like tonight's news
he's not real.
Peter Jennings.
Imagine that you like kick in the you go into the porta potty. It's
Walter
like
Jennings.
Tonight it's 7.
Yeah.
John takes but it would be like that. But basically, you would see the guy who just decides to throw feces on the wall, and that's when the cops.
Because somebody is doing that.
Someone
is
always doing that.
Either that or they're
once someone
standing
does
on their
it,
head while they're in there or something.
and then that's what it does. It sets a level of expectation. So if you walk into a clean porta potty, you're not going to want to rub crap on the walls
unless
if you're a
certain
decent
type
person.
Of person. Yeah.
Right, but if one person does it, then when you walk into that situation, it's already like that. Then you're just like, what's the difference of me just peeing on the floor as opposed to in the actual porta potty?
I'm with you. We could literally talk about this for hours.
That's fine. Let's move on. I'm getting way too heated.
So we'll move on to another voice memo from a member of your family and a gentleman who has appeared on the show before, and I believe it was he did the regular episode with us, and then he also did a very special Drunkards and Dragons. So let's thank our pal Pat.
Random Word Podcast. 1 year. Wow. I'll tell you what, I was really excited to hear about the party that Dalton and Ben and a lot of people had. My invitation, I guess, got lost in the mail, which is okay. I mean, it happens. I haven't talked to Dalton much, really, in the past, since this whole thing started. I mean, I get the occasional Christmas card, the email about happy birthday. And,
this man is the master of the guilt trip. You have no idea what I grew up
I'm
with.
sure he's busy. He's
he
just
recorded
busy.
2.5 minutes.
Like you said, I mean, one time I remember calling him up. Well, that number got blocked, but I mean, I called him again when I found through Ben what his number was. I said, hey, how about we go have a catch, kind of like old times, father, son kind of thing. And he seemed real excited. But then that was because it was his dogs barking, and he told them to be quiet.
You asked him to record a thank you message.
He said it was
literally, and this is what I got.
Thing, it's busy.
This is what I'm working with,
and how they had to practice, and you had to get it right, and I understood. He's a professional.
I am.
He's a professional podcaster, and I know that's how it works. I have pictures of him, as a kid and stuff, and so I think I could recognize him on the street, and I think that'd be really cool. So it was cool being on the podcast. Probably about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, and we just had a lot of fun. He had me eat at a separate table, which at the time I thought was unusual, but I think it's all part of the podcast thing. You gotta get that podcast stuff right. Although Of course, my car was not really an illegal parking spot either. He didn't reserve a spot for me where he
did park on the fire
and I guess that's okay. He's busy.
I am.
And so forth. And I never got invited back. But, you got lots of guests. I mean, it's lots of sponsors and guests. And, maybe I'll be able to come back one time and talk on the podcast. But, hey, 1 year. Hey, man, that's pretty cool. And you got just hundreds of thousands of followers at this point. And I just think it's great. I think it's great. And just know, your dad is a follower too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck,
dude. So growing up with him, like if he wanted to do like hey, let's play catch outside, and I'm like, no, I'm playing video games. He would go on I'm no kidding, like a 12-minute spiel where he's just like, oh yeah, I guess this is that phase they talk about when kids get older and they don't want to spend time with their dad. And I already served in a war, and I just don't, who knows how much time I really have left, but whatever makes you happy. He would do this for minutes and minutes and minutes until I would just literally feel like a terrible human being. Yeah. I would shut off everything and go outside. If anything, just to make him stop.
I mean, that military training, the mind.
But it's a give and take, because he'd do that to me, and then at grocery stores, I'd go for a high five, and he would go for a high five, and I would flinch.
Yeah, and pretend like he was going to strike you.
Yeah, and then a lot of people in the line got really concerned, and then he would pull me aside later and say, don't ever do that again. And I was like, sure thing.
So Pat,
and then I'd say stuff like, hey, Dad, remember what you always used to tell me? If it ain't wild, it ain't right. And he would put a hand over my mouth and be like, I never said that.
Pat had his own episode. It was the Pat Cast. He was here for,
and
I'm pretty sure that was a night where we did a full Pat Cast. Then we also recorded a Drunkards and Dragons. I'm pretty sure we were here till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. That
was a long day. Back. It was, yeah. He was a great sport.
Yeah,
I do want to have him back on. I do want to have him back on for another, because we need to do the Mega Mart. I've been thinking about it.
We need to continue that. And actually, I've got...
It works better when there's more people for Monster of the Week, because that style... Because you actually have to investigate the mystery. If it's just you being a clown and shooting people, then,
And I actually had gotten a text from someone today saying they were listening to the most recent Drunkards and Dragons and were enjoying it. They went back and listened to that.
Really?
And it's from this person who emailed in. Ben and Salty Dalt. For the last 2 weeks, I've been using my time on the treadmill wisely by choosing an RWP episode to listen to and letting your comedic genius fill my ears.
Poor choice.
Which has undoubtedly softened the blow of running for the length of a full episode. So that's like an hour and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you running a half marathon?
Jesus. Every morning, I guess. Although I'm rather late to the party, it took me zero time at all to realize that to pick a favorite moment would be near impossible. Your chemistry and ability to effortlessly engage in witty banter is unparalleled and makes for a great show every show. If I absolutely had to pick a moment that stood out as top tier, I would cite the intro to Skimp/Minicast. 5 minutes in, a chat about AOL Instant Messenger quickly spawns into an analysis of the entire evolution of communication between prepubescent adolescents and the early 2000s.
That was a good one.
I'm not sure I've ever related to something more, from the early days of ghosting on AIM to having your mortifying mom pick up the phone while you're talking to the love of your life, and to exceeding your monthly text allowances only to be chewed out by an enraged Jamaican woman. I had all but forgotten about Smarter Child until Ben reminded me that there truly was no better outlet for letting out some of that teenage angst.
Oh my gosh,
and maybe exploring your sexuality a little. May Born to Run 06 live on forever. Thank you for sharing your silliness and newly stellar vocabularies with the rest of us. Excited for another year. That comes from listener Molly.
How about that?
That's a great email. We've had some great emails so far, and that is, I will say, another quick anecdote is the fact that, so we have our regular episodes, and then sprinkled over the last year, we've done subject-specific episodes. We did a mini cast.
That was probably the only mini cast we ever done. And was that mini cast short?
It was short. It was like 45 minutes or 30 minutes.
That's the short one for us, right? That's longer than almost any podcast. It wasn't like
5 minutes. But we did the game cast at one point. We did the medieval cast. I forgot about that one too. We did a whole medieval based podcast.
Yeah, that was strange.
We did the game cast where we talked about video games.
That one was fun. That was more for us than the Rando Nation.
And then anytime we have a guest on, it becomes that cast. And then the other quick thing is Drunkards and Dragons, because that was something where we had kind of just wanted to. You and I love D&D.
Yep.
And we kind of wanted to do that on the show, but we wanted to do it in our own way. And you kind of came up with the actual like story concepts behind it.
Yeah, I do miss doing that piece because and it's hard too because the only reason it's on the Random Word podcast, the actual Drunkards and Dragons, because we don't want to pay for another hosting site.
Oh yeah, of course. So it's not its own separate podcast.
So it's not, but I actually enjoy that because that's something I grew up doing with the guilt-tripping father who left the voicemail, and we actually had a chance a couple times in college where we all got together, and my dad would come over with a stack of like 20 books and a bunch of little character pieces, and he would have this campaign plan. I remember Alex Dodson was in on it, and like we would expand the group, and it always devolved into like how to murder a harmless player.
Yeah.
Really quick. And my dad would anticipate that, and he would like come up with stuff for it. And that was a really fun time.
And Drunkards and Dragons, for those who haven't listened to those episodes, it's like our own take on D&D and kind of a D&D type adventure.
Yeah, it's a different style of play. So it's an actual game style. It's called Monster of the Week.
Yeah.
And all that basically does is it gives you rules, and it says, this is the type of stuff you can do, and this is like how you would do it, and the story and whatever else you want is up to you.
Yeah, it's
so
a lot of fun.
It gives you like a lot of freedom.
We've done like 3 or 4 of those, so you can go back and listen to that. I've got another. This wasn't a voice memo, but this was a video sent in. So you can't see the video, but you can hear the audio.
What?
And so it's like a voice memo, but
let me see. Who is it?
You'll hear it in a moment.
Dalton and Ben, congrats on the big 1 year Random Word podcast.
My boy, my man.
The show. I'd say other than Corn-Fed's calls into the show, those are definitely my favorite moments. But other than that, there's a lot to pick from. But I think the one that definitely sticks out to me as my favorite moment was when you guys had the psychic on the show.
Janica. That was a good one.
The thing that I thought was kind of wild was that they did it for free, if I remember correctly.
No.
The second thing is, why are there so many people in Fairfax
Costs a lot
County
of money
that are looking for that type of stuff?
He's not talking about the psychic.
Fairfax, Manassas,
the ghost hunter.
I remember I was listening to that one on a bus trip to a game, a couple years ago, or not a couple, because this is the 1 year, so it would have been last year, and I was just, I was laughing uncontrollably, man. Love the show, guys, but I would have to say, I love the inventions, I love all that stuff, but my top moment of the past year is definitely when you guys had the psychic on the line. That was insane. So keep up the good work, boys. Look forward to year 2 and look forward to some more calls from Corn-Fed. All right, guys, take it easy.
Oh, dude, he's the best.
He is the best, but he's confusing the titles there because it was not a psychic so we did talk to a psychic, but it was...
That one cost actual money. Real money that Ben spent.
Oh, it was a lot of money. But that was a paranormal investigator. He's talking about Mary, right, from Nova Spies.
Yeah, she was fantastic. That to date, that's probably my favorite episode that we have done because, we're not doing it to make fun. It's it's a funny concept, right? So it plays to a lot of jokes you can make.
Yeah.
Because it's people investigating ghosts, right? So, come on.
Let me see what episode that number was.
It was a cult.
Oh,
it was probably episode 28 or 30, maybe somewhere close to that.
So go back and listen to a cult and that is, I will say, because here's the thing about that interview is you and I kind of went into it being like, look, but before we had booked her, we were kind of like, let's just find somebody weird that we can talk to and not make fun of, but
something different
in our own way.
We didn't need an actual interview, and we had questions drafted up.
Yeah, that
were actual questions because I honestly am very curious about what someone like that and what their company does.
Because we had thought about, okay, let's go find a paranormal thing, and we went through a long
Did I tell you
list.
I emailed 2 other paranormal companies?
No.
And one guy got back to me and was like, "Hey, when do you guys normally when's your show?" And I was like, "It's on Thursdays and stuff."
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
I haven't heard back on his time frame yet, but that happened pretty recently.
Okay,
I was like, we need to get back to that because it was bizarre.
Mary's interview with us from Nova Spies, SPIS, was one of the wilder moments of the show because she was great and nice, but the things she was saying sometimes, like she was talking about weird like voodoo dolls.
Oh yeah,
and it was an insane conversation.
Oh
and
yeah,
you and I were just both like, what the hell is going on? What is she talking about? And it was crazy. And she, to her credit, she gave us like a 30-minute interview. I mean, it was wild.
She was a fantastic interviewee. Yeah. We asked a lot of questions and got a lot of answers to. I think to date that was probably that's probably been my favorite episode because of like that entire experience, because we asked a million questions. We got like a good 30-minute interview. She answered so many things. And I was just like,
and some of our questions were like stupid. I was trying to be kind of funny.
And she'd be like, well, actually, this is what happened.
Yeah, this is real.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
And then there was the psychic that we talked to, Janica, which was based around my bobblehead breaking at work.
And where she just asked you general questions and then told you what you wanted to hear.
Because my bobblehead had broken, and like we decided to create kind of a bit out of it, and we said let's call a psychic because clearly this is the work.
Did we tell her she was on air with Random Word Podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like, I don't think she was like fully like aware of what was going on, but she was trying.
She basically.
But if that's the level of service that I would get dialing into that, it wasted money.
Because it was a lot of money, and the issue, of course, was that. So we talked to Janica about that situation. We asked her questions. And then we decided that it was all CMO Pete's fault. We brought Pete into the conversation.
Yeah.
She told us it's a third party that's like infiltrating your guys, and was like it's CMO
It's definitely
Pete.
Yeah, Pete was
and then we
derailing
left Pete a voicemail.
show.
And then the funny thing was when I had you had to put a credit card to like sign up for this service. So I like threw a credit card on there and paid whatever.
You were telling me about this.
It was like $50 for this like 10-minute conversation. It was a racket. And then I was like, all right, this is the only time I'm going to use this, so let me just get out of this. And so I went to try to remove my credit card information.
They're like, you can't remove it. It was like, legally, yes, you can.
Yeah,
they're just like, what if we just like hid it from you,
so
you can't see that we have it?
They told me you can't take your credit card information off this off your account. They're like, well, like you said, they said they would hide it from me. They're like, because they're like some people get so into this that they like spend all their money, so they have to ask us to hide their credit card info from them, or like hide their account info, something crazy. And the whole time I'm on the phone with this lady being like, no, I don't want to ever do this again. Please let me get out of this. Like, I don't need an account. I don't need my credit card. And I think I guess probably technically they still have my info somewhere. Now, I haven't been billed or anything, all that stuff.
It was like that insane. Yeah. I
get their emails all the time.
When you told me you signed up for them, and then I was like, oh, cool. So we're going to have like a psychic come on. And I thought this is like an interview situation. But then when we dialed in and it was like, you have X amount of minutes. And I was like, did you pay for this? Because like, yes, I did.
I paid for the lowest amount of minutes you could possibly have, but then we kept extending it because like we were getting into some juicy stuff. That was Janica.
Yeah, that was a personally financed. It was a really funny conversation. You could actually put a price on that episode.
You could, and it was
probably around $50.
I don't know if it was around $50, but that's how much it cost. Man. So let's move to the next clip here real quick. Where we're just going to run through. We're actually towards the end of the show of episode 1 because really,
well, there's only like 3 funny jokes.
Well, really, honestly, we didn't really have, as far as format goes, it was pretty much word, sponsors, random talk, and then call center, and that was really the end of the show.
Oh yeah.
So this is the first call center segment we've ever done.
Oh man.
Before we finish up here, we've got some listener emails that have emailed us. If you ever have a comment or question, please
the balls
email
of us to do this without having any listeners.
Yeah, this was episode 1.
Is the email.
We recorded
change that to the podcast
weeks before anybody knew this podcast existed.
Yeah. We've got some emails.
Disclaimer:
today
these people aren't real.
People asking.
That's it.
But every other episode they were.
I think we're the 2 people that really would offer the best advice. Dalton.
It's the only episode where they weren't.
Dirty Dalton. Sorry, is that what your nickname is? Salty Dalton.
You switched it back to college.
And we've got some emails here.
Just butcher it.
So we're gonna go through it. And I have the first one here. This guy's name is Daniel, and he's 16. He's a teenager, and he's asking. He says, "Hey guys, what is the best way to get a girlfriend?" Is Daniel's question here. 16-year-old Daniel is asking, "What
nice and
is
simple.
the best way to get a girlfriend?" I'll let you start.
Well, yeah, Daniel, that's a really great question, and I'm glad you've turned to experts in the.
Yeah, I'm glad that you
came
to us as mid-20s men for your 16-year-old advice.
That's fine. So there's a couple different options you need to look at, Daniel. Danny, if I can call you Danny Boy.
You call him Danny. I think he'll be fine.
Danny, Danny,
Danny Boy.
Yeah. Danny
Please
Boy,
call him Danny Boy by his official
So
name.
Danny Boy, there's a couple things you need to examine about this situation. Is the girl you're currently pining after, longing for?
Good word.
That's a good word.
Is she currently with another man? Maybe?
Does she currently exist?
Yeah,
that's always a good question
real?
too.
Is she 2D?
Is she a real girlfriend? Is she a real girl? Which she doesn't have to be. You can be
right.
anything.
No, if you've established she's real, so
2018.
We need to check out if
2018.
If your environment follows tribal warfare. So what you need to do,
good advice,
is pick out a much stronger looking, capable human, and basically challenge him for his right to date his woman.
Beat the out of him.
Yeah, and then effectively you kind of get a little Rochambeau going. You get a little one-on-one cage match, and honestly, it's just winner takes all in that situation. And I think that might be an avenue that you haven't explored yet, but definitely something to kind of keep on the burner there, something to look at, if all else fails.
So the advice from the show here is, Danny, go ahead and beat the shit out of somebody bigger than you.
That's a good example of our email advice that we've given really in like a nutshell.
Yeah.
Because the funny
super unhelpful.
And that's kind of like our intention, it seems like, with the call center a lot of times is you're going to ask us for advice and we're not going to give you any practical advice.
I think about it this way, right? If you actually want really good advice,
you're not coming to us.
You're the last place you're going to go to is a podcast.
A podcast about
where
words
these
that's
two
not about
jokers
words.
Don't even know what they're doing. And so that's sort of the way we look at a lot of these emails we get is we're like, hey, we could give you a real answer. Or we could just not do anything.
Because there are podcasts that exist that have that sort of like mailbag type segment.
Yeah, and they're just like, hey, let me tell you what you should do based on my life experience. And it's like, okay. Or you could maybe try somersaulting and doing a handstand, learning to juggle.
There's been some crazy emails over the last year as well. Real and, well, they're all real. I mean, we're not going to like say we make any up besides episode 1. I mean, once you got past episode 1.
It was really just episode 1, 2, and 3 that had fake emails. The rest are real.
And
because we didn't post anything for 3 weeks.
On 3, let's remember a second.
Oh, 3's gone.
The lost episode of 3. And at this point, I don't quite know because I have some audio from that episode.
Why don't you play it?
Because I don't know where it is. It's on some computer. I have to go back and find it.
What do you mean? How many computers do you have, Bill Gates?
So
what do you run, Microsoft?
I bought this computer for this show after a couple months in.
Okay, so where's the original?
It's packed in boxes somewhere.
What do you mean packed in boxes? You already moved.
Yeah, but there's still like some
This isn't like the Ark situation in Indiana Jones where you have to seal it in a box and throw it in some warehouse.
I gotta find the laptop and then I gotta find the charger and then I gotta turn it on.
I'm sure that charger works fine for it.
No,
I just feel like there are a lot of... You're being weirdly suspicious about the fact that you won't get the clips.
For episode 3?
Also, I think we both agreed that episode 3 was some hot garbage.
It was pretty bad.
It was not good. And we were just like... When you told me, you're like, I lost the file. And I was like, you know what? That's probably not that bad of a thing.
And the best part is the fact that instead of just calling the next episode episode 3, we just called it episode 4 and just continued as if episode 3 existed.
No, technically we put in the time for episode 3. I was going to say, does that mean that the actual 1 year is next week?
No. The 1 year is today because this is where the first episode was posted.
Oh, you're right. 22nd, yeah.
Yeah, but episode 3 and then what started in episode 4 was about...
What are the odds that lines up on a Thursday?
It's pretty wild. Because if this had ended up on Monday, we'd be like, we just can't do a 1 year show.
It's insane. Like, it actually did. Like, we started on not a Monday and it ended up... Or it's not a Thursday and it ended up on a Thursday.
What day of the week did we start doing
It's on Podbean. It's up there. It lines up perfectly.
Was it on Wednesdays where we first started recording, or was it Thursday?
It was on I
feel like it might have been Wednesdays.
It was either Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Yeah.
It was either Tuesday or Wednesday, and then eventually it just moved to Thursday, and which is why I think, and because no month is the same, it happened to work out that the exact 1 year is on a Thursday, which is crazy.
Well, I got another voice memo to play, and I don't fully understand.
So you only played a very brief clip for me. So if you have been a diehard listener to the fan, and for one of you in particular who sent this in, and you know who you are, we've been receiving, as part of the many emails that we read on the show, some of them have come in from a email address called the number one rando at gmail.com.
Yeah.
And now the way this comes into our inbox is it's all anonymous.
Anonymous, it says.
They hid their domain name. They hid everything else except for the actual email. And so we know nothing about this person.
Really, for no reason. Because
for no reason.
We're
not popular.
You don't need to be secret.
And so they sent in a voice memo, and I've only heard about 5 seconds of it. So I actually have no idea what this voice memo says. Yeah. Ben has listened to it. He's ready to play it now. But this is the self-proclaimed number one rando.
Let's hear it.
Hey Rando Nation, this is number one rando at gmail.com. Just dropping in to leave some love for RWP on their 1-year anniversary episode and to go back and reminisce on a couple of my favorite moments from the show. First off, I gotta show some love for the originals, Fishbowl, one of the best segments. The sponsors, those are always entertaining. Some of the newer ones, the Salty Dalton's Full Body Learning Experience, Brain Explosion. Haven't heard that in a couple episodes, so I'd love to bring that back.
Okay, robot.
I really enjoy the Hot Chicken Challenge and the Quizcast. I think there should be regular occurrences, or at least.
So the way that this is being... It sounds like T-Pain.
It sounds like it should be a song.
It's like reading us an email. It's like it's auto-tune.
It's like auto-tune.
That's got to be it.
It's like it should be a song. It's like some robot
and I
filter.
miss Fishbowl, and I wish that things were different.
It sounds like there should be a beat behind it.
There literally should be.
Quizcast maybe semi-annual.
Semi-annual.
I'm sure there's many other food challenges you guys could participate in. That would be entertaining. And
don't tell us how to do the show.
I gotta say, one of my favorite episodes from the entire series is actually one of the originals. It was Glabrous. The whole episode seemed kind of unscripted. It was a little chaotic, but it made it all the more hilarious. Really enjoyed all the updates throughout on the dog chase.
Oh, yeah.
The stories of the prank wars, Salty Dalton losing the bet and shaving his legs. I was really crying on my way to work that day in laughter. But you guys have been doing great and keeping me entertained on my ride to work for the past year. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work. My only recommendation, get a new CMO.
Oh.
Whoa.
Shots fired.
Wow. Get a new
So
CMO.
that was T-Pain, our number one rando.
Clearly.
It literally, I think what we should do is put like a backbeat behind it. And that should be its own thing because that was incredible.
That was wild.
Also made it impossible to tell who
they
it was.
covered a lot of different places there. They've
clearly been there since the beginning.
I mean, Glabrous was a very early episode, probably within the first 10.
Yeah, because that's when the dog escaped. Yes. I helped the cop rescue the dog, and then that lady didn't give a flying crap about her dog.
All.
She was like, "Oh, my dog's at the police station? Okay." And she goes back out on her porch and eats Chinese food, and I was like, "Lady, your dog is with the cops."
And then she mentioned the Hot Chicken Challenge, or she or he, I don't know who that was.
The Hot Chicken Challenge.
Hot Chicken Challenge was one of the wildest things we've done on this show.
That, I think what made it worse is like, we had the order, it was out of order.
It was out of order.
So like
we screwed it up.
The first tender, incredible. The second tender was was supposed to be the third.
Yeah.
The third tender was supposed to be the second, and then we got into like the waiver level ones where you had to sign the waiver for, right? But we mixed those two.
Because I had asked,
they were both bad, but that one dude,
it was awful.
I almost threw up like 9 times. I was standing up, I was walking around, I drained like a glass of almond milk.
Yeah,
we had to have nothing because it's not real milk.
Because I'd asked the guy when I bought this was like the most expensive family pack that they had available, where I was like, look, I need like 3 tenders of each level. And they were like, okay, that's fine. And then when I got the platter, I was like, how am I going to know which one is which? And they're like, oh, you'll know. Like they're lined up like that. And then when I got the platter, and I like you can kind of tell like the least hot from the most hot in a way. But then as I'm taking them off the platter, I'm like, I have no fucking idea which one is what, because I tried to do it by like the darkness of the tenders and like spices and stuff. And it was like, I can't tell.
You switched up the code red and code blue. And don't get me wrong, I'm I'm also very bad at handling spicy food, so I think I did very well up
Yeah, you
until
did.
then. But the code red was bad, right?
It was
but
bad.
the code
But
blue
was a whole nother level.
that was where the code red was supposed to be was absolutely mind-numbingly hot.
It was like a whole nother level of heat, and it
The
was
pain should not increase when you stop the activity that's causing you pain, right? So I stopped chewing, I stopped eating, I had already swallowed, and it kept getting worse.
It was insane. It was insane how hot that was. And the thing is that you and I talked about on the next episode was how it sustained the rest of the night. Like, not necessarily in a gross way, but it was more of like I felt the heat coming in waves for hours after we stopped eating.
Oh my mouth did not feel the same for days.
It was pretty bad.
Because anything I'd eat, I'd be like, this doesn't taste as good as it used to. And maybe it's because I burned off everything in my mouth.
And speaking of intern Will, he participated in the hot chicken challenge.
His commentary was amazing.
Even he was feeling it.
He had this
times.
nonchalant delivery of what's going on. He's like, that was fantastic. But I was actually dying. I was very uncomfortable.
It was bad.
And that night at 3 a.m., I was racked with horrific stomach pains.
Of course.
Horrific.
Ugh.
I was moaning, tossing and turning. Ashley's like, what is wrong with you? And we were down I wasn't even at my house.
Yeah.
So I'm just lying in this bed with just terrible pain. I don't know what to do. And eventually I make it over to the bathroom and I sit in there for over an hour before anything happens, just in pain. And let me tell you how bad that entire experience is. I spent about 2.5 hours in that bathroom.
Oh, shout out to Woo Boy Chicken in Herndon.
Woo Boy!
sponsored that episode. Not really, because I paid for it all, but they were participants on that episode, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's definitely probably another food challenge we can do.
Oh, yeah. We'll figure it out.
Spicy ones will be entertaining for those of you that enjoy hearing me in pain, because that's not going to be hard to do. You feed me a jalapeno, I'm probably going to cry.
I think we can do spicy, and then maybe sometime we can do quantity. Do a 100 nugget challenge or something.
I'd be right doing quantity as long as we had the buckets to throw up in, because I'll go ham, but let's do that. But it's got to be a weird food.
Yeah. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, I got another email from another guy who appeared on the show, an episode where we were on the porch, and my coworker Ricky.
Oh, Ricky
stopped by.
Ricky Bobby. All right.
He immediately opened his appearance by pulling a beer out of his pants that he had snuck out of the bar that was nearby. If you recall, he had a Bud Light in his pants, and he pulled that out, and he was
ready to go.
That was how he started his appearance. Now he has emailed in, and there's multiple emails. Well, the first one he sent was at noon today, and he just said, "Yo, congrats." And then that's all it said. And then I had kind of talked to him later in the day. I was like, hey, man, was that all you were going to say about the show? And I started making him very self-conscious. And then he sent one at 3:41. He said, you guys are truly inspirational. Despite your many shortcomings.
He really elaborated on that.
You have made it a full year.
Despite our shortcomings?
Despite your many shortcomings, he said.
What, Ricky?
You have made it a full year. I can't help but think that if you guys can do this, literally anything is possible for literally anyone. This has been a huge inspiration for me to achieve my dreams of becoming a professional go-kart racer. So he sent
This is more of a dig,
He sent that at 3:41. Then he sent a follow-up at 3:42.
That one doesn't read as well as the first one.
He said, how about that ride in? Ha ha. And he wrote The Hangover. Is that a quote from The Hangover?
How about that? I don't know.
I don't know. He said
What's that supposed to mean?
And then a minute after that, he sent another email that said, I'm just going to say it. D2 Mighty Ducks is the greatest sequel of all time. Arguably better than the first Mighty Ducks.
You know what? Ricky, I don't disagree, right?
Yeah, but I don't see the relevancy.
Quack.
And then
I don't either.
He sent another email.
Another one?
He said, I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared for Disney to remake Home Alone.
Wait, they're remaking Home Alone?
I think they're thinking about it.
Absolutely not. They can't.
It will probably be fake. But he sent 5 emails in the span of literally every minute or so today. So that would have been while he was still at work. It was 3:40. So I guess the only email that really counts as far as the congratulations was the second email where he was like, but then he also dissed us.
No. So the first one was the, hey, congrats, right?
Yeah.
That one I'm riding on a cloud 9. And then the second one was like, hey, you guys are great, but it felt like I got slapped halfway through that compliment, you know? It leaves a weird taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
And then the third one is nonsense. He might have been having a stroke. The fourth one was a very interesting discussion topic. One we can't get into today, but Ricky, I'd love to have that conversation with you.
We could definitely have that conversation another
and then
time.
The last one is just, it is what it is.
Because, just on that note is, again, we've had some cast and characters just quickly drop in here and there. Ricky did make a brief appearance drunkenly as he came from another bar.
That was great.
On that. Last clip I'm going to play here before we wrap up is from the end of this episode of episode 1 here. This is kind of the last few minutes of the show, and this is how kind of the first episode wrapped up.
And the guy drove past the house, actually.
Was that him?
Which is the funny thing. His name is Luis. And
Luis,
I don't want to blow up
buddy.
his spot here, but I believe he's going to be delivering the pizza.
Well, that's just it. See, is what I'm saying.
Pizza
is like,
delivery.
It's an inconspicuous
this came at the end of the
Keep going
episode.
as I collect the pizza.
He's just like...
Oh, and this was me getting up.
It's unmarked cars. It's like a undercover police car. This guy doesn't have any pizza sign on the top of his car. And,
this one freaked me out, man.
He could not have pulled up...
This was
worst to
hilarious.
this driveway. He's half in, half out of the driveway, hanging on the road. He just got out of his car. He's just going to leave it there. That's fine. Ben's walking up. Ben actually has to wait for the signal for the cross sign so he can go over to the middle of the street to get this pizza. What the... He's pulling it out of his trunk.
That was the weirdest part for me.
Trunk pizza.
It's a really nice
From
Honda,
Big Daddy's
so I'm
Pizza.
thinking
No
this
longer
isn't a
exists.
normal
Now it's called
pizza
Golden
vehicle.
Crust.
And that's the biggest
Just fun
pizza I've
fact.
ever seen in my entire life. That might be why it's in the trunk. I take that back. Louise, you might have been doing a good job. Dude, that pizza's gigantic. It's the size of this house. Well, he pulled it out of his trunk. Like the trunk of his car, yeah. So Luis in an unmarked pizza vehicle, license plate VRF 2256. Again, that's completely made up. I can't read the license plate from this distance. So welcome back. You have the pizza.
It's a big pizza.
Any closing comments?
No closing comments. It's just this is.
Oh my god!
This literally could probably feed.
Is that Eddie's
a
Pizza
entire,
place or whatever?
No, it's Big Daddy's.
Big Daddy's
Let's
Pizza.
just take one bite, throw it away because.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, that's what we do. We actually don't eat the pizza. We just order it and then we look at it.
Well,
and
we
take
can't close the
pictures
show
with
unless we order it. So, like, even if we're just both really not hungry, if we don't get food, we can't stop.
100%. That's been about showtime. We got the pizza.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been a pleasure.
All right.
It hasn't been though. Oh, let's do a little recap. Let's rate ourselves. Let's rate ourselves on this show. I'd like to conservatively say, we had some rough spots here and there, but I'd say 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
It's
okay.
a conservative score there. I've taken everything into consideration, and 5 out of 5.
Okay, yeah, I'm feeling that. And I will probably use a similar scale, and
Okay.
I will say probably about a 46
Okay.
out of a 47.
46 out of 47. Yeah, that's a good standard size. Size.
Right,
and
and
score,
I want to keep
actually.
it really consistent with that.
It's a good size.
46
46 out of 47. Hell of a size. Hell of a size.
So they're
Yeah, no, you're right. It makes a lot of sense there.
right,
So
no.
46 out of
Yeah,
47.
46 out of 47.
5. Actually, I'm going to change mine. I'm going to say it's 5 out of 5. Oh no, that's what I said before. Yeah,
5
I'm
out
going
of
to keep
5.
it that.
Yeah, and
Keep
make
it
sure
that.
you subscribe to this podcast
Yeah, subscribe.
via a button. I'm really not familiar with the interface. There's got to be a way
I don't think
that
a
you
button's gonna
can
just appear in front
subscribe.
of you in your daily
Yeah,
life.
I'm not sure if when it finishes it says, "Did you like this? Would you like to keep listening?"
Yeah.
Like Netflix calls you out, like
It does.
you haven't touched the remote for 6 hours. Are you still
Are
alive?
you alive? Are
Yes,
you a
I'm
lazy
naked
piece of
under a
shit?
blanket,
Yes.
covered in Cheetos. I want to keep watching, sort of deal. But
But yeah, keep
yeah,
listening.
hit subscribe. We'll come out whenever we feel like producing an episode.
Yeah.
So just let us know how
Man.
you feel about it.
Exactly. And
It makes me
again,
feel so
like
old.
our
It's been 1 year.
We get percentage of that. So
Again, Ferrari and
Rockets,
Rockets.
We kept talking
Google
over.
Glass.
Just kept going.
Glass.
We
Gorilla
don't
Glass.
shut up.
Appreciate it. This is the Random Word Podcast.
So your ninth time saying it that entire episode. I really like that end soundbite about the Netflix and covered in Cheetos,
Yeah.
and I'm probably gonna take that out for the next intro.
Yeah, that would probably be good. It's funny because right now the way we kind of play, and if you listen to the show a lot, you heard it, like the way we play that outro music is I time it up where it's like kind of leading in and then it stops at a certain moment and lets the music play. For that first episode, none of that. We just talked over most of the outro
Yeah,
music.
it was good.
And just kept riffing and going because we don't know when to stop.
No,
That's our
man, that
problem.
was kind of fun. It's kind of like it's like going through an old yearbook, right? It's just like, oh man, that's what we looked like.
Yeah.
And like it's only been a year, but the quality and the jokes have gone down. The quality has gone up. So there's a relationship there we probably need to evaluate, right?
Sure.
So maybe like take down the quality just enough.
Like break one of these microphones and like have to like share because here's the thing.
Sharing a microphone would be interesting. Like us pushing each other out of the way. What were you thinking? We both put one mouth on a microphone, you sicko.
Like your mouth is here and like my mouth is here. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
Why not?
Just because it's just like, hey guys,
looking right into that. We'd probably have to take down the recording.
Because that first episode we had used, I had a headset from Broadcasting Sports.
Did I have
and then I had a handheld.
I had the hand mic,
which Ricky used when he appeared on the show. But your mic was potted very far down because I didn't have the levels really figured out yet, and I was drunk. So like the first episode, you're quiet compared to me.
Very quiet compared to you, yeah.
And then it took me like multiple episodes to finally get our levels the same because I'd have to boost you way up because I just have a naturally louder voice. And
okay, I don't know.
And you're like,
we don't need to make this competition.
And you're like a timid field mouse. And so we have
I'm a timid
But the funny thing
mouse.
is, for some reason now I have to turn
mouse.
I have to turn you down compared to me now. I don't know why, but you've like over the last like 6 months you've gotten louder. I don't know. Maybe don't talk like that. But we went from those to these microphones that we have now, like a nicer set. I bought a laptop for this show, very cheap. It wasn't expensive, and that's why it doesn't really work well. But and then and things like that. So we, you're right, and we have a camera now that we sometimes use.
I don't think I've seen a clip in weeks.
I'll tell you, it's because of the timing. It's kind of hard to work on them at work. But yeah, it's like you said, it's been a wild. Year. And let's quickly run through before we wrap up. I sent you some examples of some things that we have done on this show, and we touched on some tonight. But there's some other moments on here that we didn't talk about. Fake movie trailers. Now we went through
I actually
great phase
missed that.
We
that
can bring
was
that
pretty
back.
Fun.
We can bring that back. We can interchange. Here's the thing.
My favorite one was about the deer.
That was one of the best.
I Can't Quit You
Dear. That was one of the best fake movie trailers. We might be able to bring that back and just kind of switch it out. Again, shout out to all the guests that have appeared: Pete, Nick, intern Will, Pat, Abby, Ashley, Ricky. We talked about Video Game Cast and Hot Chicken Challenge. What about the Bad Boy Billionaire Club?
Bad Boy Billionaire Club. Now, Mandy, one of our also diehard randos, which Mandy...
She tagged us in a post today. In an Instagram story, she tagged us in it.
Oh, she
congratulated us. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's her shout out. I was gonna say, we didn't get any other thing specific. I was like, man, you can't miss you're in running for number one rando, except for the weird robot.
Yeah, the robot is a big fan.
Well, except for T-Pain. T-Pain's
number one rando. That was the robot.
Oh, sorry. For a second there, you disappeared and you became an actual robot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You actually look just like T-Pain.
I guess, I understand why you were confused.
They call you B-Pain.
B-Pain.
You're like B-Pain?
I think it sounds weird.
Because of the kidney stones.
Oh, God, don't talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's...
But Bad Boy Billionaire Club, we were saying is...
I honestly...
We could bring it back at some point.
Well, that's why I like the fun scripted part, right?
Yeah.
Because, we got to, really get creative with that, and it was a train wreck of a book.
Yes.
It was...
it was the key.
And that's its selling point, right? Is it's just it's unnecessarily graphic.
Yeah.
And that's what the author thinks is hot, right? Because
Bad
it's just
Boy Billionaire Club. Man.
His shirt was stretching across. I was like, get a bigger fucking shirt.
Yeah.
I don't go into work like that. I'm not putting on a small.
We loved reading that book. Another one that came up to mind was Dog Justice. Where we would riff on different dog justice related stuff there.
That was a good you really saw the evolution of the dog as a character.
Yeah.
Right? Because it started off as
three versions of it or something.
A dog that was like a rookie. He was ready to join the force.
Yeah.
And then
he became a grizzled veteran at one point.
And then Dog Justice 2, he was doing well, but then all of a sudden, maybe things weren't great. Dog Justice 3.
Yep.
He was a vet, but he was a dirty cop.
Yeah,
he got his hands on stuff he wasn't. He got his paws on stuff he wasn't supposed to. And Dog Justice 4 was really about the redemption story, but not just for him. It was more about the story, right? Coming full circle like that.
It was. So Dog Justice was kind of a key moment in the show because the dog justice joke stemmed from the loose dog that was running around because
that had to be arrested
because we connected.
The dog was literally carried away in a police car, and I don't think I've ever seen. I know for a fact.
I've never seen that happen.
I know for a fact I didn't see the cop read that dog its rights. So that dog could probably sue. Should probably get a dog lawyer.
Yeah. His
music.
meounder rights.
Yeah, his meounder rights. You're not gonna hit the.
I don't have it. I don't think
dog
it's on
lawyer
this iPod anymore.
Why is it not? You don't have any intense music? Come on, man.
Jesus Christ, so much pressure. This is the one.
In a justice system racked with fraud.
There's like a newspaper.
Bias.
Newspaper drops in front of the camera, and it's like
Killer walks
Yeah.
free again. The justice system that serves no one but itself. One dog decided to stand up against it all. Dog Lawyer 3.
Dog Lawyer. Dog Lawyer. I will not stand for this dog in this courtroom.
Then you'll sit. You want a milk bone? Here's your milk bone. He's guilty.
Do you swear to tell the whole roof and nothing but the roof?
I never lied a day in my life, except for next to the fireplace when it was winter and it was kind of warm and I liked it.
Don't do it, dog. Don't do it. Don't get on the stand.
If I don't stand up for this dog, no one will. Dog Lawyer 3.
Is the dog the lawyer or is the lawyer for the dog?
The dog is the lawyer for the other dogs.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Then we were on the same page.
Yeah, okay. Whew.
That was tough.
That's pretty good. You know, shook the rust off a little bit.
Yeah, it's like when a major leaguer, takes some time off and retires, and then he comes back to the league, and he's got to, get the swing back.
It wasn't bad. Yeah, we can definitely include that again. That was a lot of fun. We're going to do that again.
Dog Lawyer, Dog Justice, and Dog Doctor is also a tough series. And well, so we'll work on that. But any other final rapid
PhD,
fire?
the P stands for pause.
Pause. I was trying to think. Pause. Is it
what does the H stand for?
In PhD? I have no idea.
Practicing heretical doctor.
It's not heretical.
It's not
because it's like for anything.
PhD, pharmaceutical doctor.
It's not pharmaceutical. No, PhD. You get your PhD in anything. It's not just
practicum.
Being a doctor.
It's probably practicum something
some
doctorate.
Latin crap.
Yeah.
Oh, stupid Latin. God.
Habeas dog Latin.
Oh, it could be habeas. Yeah. I don't think
it's not habeas. Habeas is like habeas corpus. I think is like the written law, or it's like that weird thing where it's after like 7 years, or is that ipso facto?
I don't know.
There's a lot of weird.
Talking about the thing where like you can't be convicted of the crime
after it's been like 7 years.
Yeah, it's not habeas corpus. It's something else. I don't know. I don't get arrested in Latin. Use English.
I normally get arrested in Espanol.
Rapid fire here. Any other moments we haven't talked about that come to mind for you? The immediate one for me is the mailman interruptions.
Yeah, I do miss those because like just he would walk up, right, and then I would be like, how about I just see? The weird part was is that I offered to grab the package because for me, social anxiety wise, I think it's scarier and weirder to have someone just calmly walk through past us, two functioning human beings with arms that could take the package, to watch him try to put it in the slot and to put the package there, then turn around and have to walk by us. But you were really not into that because you felt it drew more attention.
And I wanted him to feel like I accomplished my job. I mean, this is what my
like we
sworn
were grading
badge
him.
is. And he would interrupt, and it would always happen about 20 minutes into the show. The mailman would show up and deliver the mail, and he would back into the driveway forcefully, and then he'd go up, and sometimes he would say hi to us, but we'd always be in the middle of what we were doing. But he would interrupt all the time, and it would kind of throw us off, just like the pizza interruptions. The very first episode, we got it at the end with it, but for a while there on the porch, it was showing up in the middle of the show. It was here in the basement as well when you would order food, and we'd watch it up here in the window.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think I remember the night before the wedding was a great podcast and day, and that was actually a lot of fun. I remember the the podcast where I sent you in voice memos from all the incidents on my honeymoon.
Yes,
and that was wild because like I had a clip of a guy just throwing up nonstop, and like all the crazy stuff in that guy who was like about to be on a gin and juice cleanse.
Yes.
We were landing in some bum airport
because you were on vacation, so you sent that in, and we played it on the next show.
Yeah. It's just there's been a lot of crazy stuff, and it kind of feels fun to talk about, but this has become like more of an outlet for us, and we're honestly very shocked that we've had a response from you guys.
I mean, again, we've had over 2,600 downloads, 11 countries. I mean, it's been crazy. The Swedes, that's another quick thing. We haven't heard from the Swedes in a long time. The first time when we checked the downloads for the podcast, we noticed that there was some downloads from another country, and we looked and it said it was from Sweden.
We have some Canadian listeners too.
We got Canadian, we've got some British listeners. I don't know where they found the show, how they found it, but cheerio, we appreciate you for listening. Cheerio to the British people. They understand. It's their language. I don't know. You might not have picked up on that, but that's like one of their things.
That's one of their things that they. Yeah. I'm sure that everyone
was speaking
says
directly to them.
Cheerio.
But it's been crazy.
Frosted Flakes.
And we've got
Lucky Charms.
The cool thing about this show is we can do whatever we want because it's our show. So, we'll come up with some cool things coming up in the future here. We've got some ideas. Yeah. But all we need from you guys, Rando Nation, is just to keep listening because you guys are doing a great job with that. You're downloading the show. You're supporting the show.
You're sort of the moral obligation that we have to continue this, right?
Yeah, if nobody downloaded this, we would have stopped like 45 episodes
As Nick said, this is the longest thing we've ever committed to from an idea perspective.
And he's right.
Ben and I wrote a book together. We wrote a book over Google Docs. When he was at his job and I was at my job, we would take turns writing chapters for a book. We got up to like 200 pages, and we're still tossing around the idea of publishing it.
Yeah, it's still in play.
That's one of those projects that we just never ran to completion.
About 20 years.
And this is the longest thing we've ever done.
Yeah.
So this episode in particular is more for you guys.
Exactly.
To be appreciated.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of shout you guys out.
And it's never going to happen again. Because when we hit 2 years, it's not going to matter.
No,
it's kind of like the thing
1
where it's like
important,
you hit the 1 year and then maybe if you do it for 10 years. But I don't want to be doing this for 10 years.
No, we're good with that.
I can't think of a more depressing existence.
We'll have no stories. Now, unless we get, a professional contract.
No, I'm going to have to start going out into the real world to get, like, actual things to tell you.
Yeah, you're going to
I'm going to have to go back into the real world again and be like, oh, well, today, I witnessed, well, maybe not a murder.
A murder, yeah. Okay, what real world, what are you going to go down to?
Today I was a part of a murder. I'm going to have to kill someone to have an interesting story.
I don't think you have to do that, though. But you're right, though. We're going to have to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Which kind of stinks, because, like...
You know what we should do? At a some kind of opening, like a gala or something, or an opening, we need to bring the lavalier mics, and we need to do impromptu interviews with people and pretend like we're covering the opening for like a thing.
It's true.
Like a grand opening, we'll set up the table and be like, "Hey, we're here live at the grand opening for Casa de Chio, the Mexican Tex-Mex whatever restaurant."
I'll tell you, the way to look official was to have a handheld mic because
oh my God.
I did that for the sports show, and everyone thought like me and the other guy we were famous. Me and Mike, who actually has called into the show as well.
Actually, dude, you know what we should do? I'm actually 100%
sure.
I don't like social interaction, but I will do this on camera.
Okay.
We have a microphone. We need a wireless microphone, like an actual one you hold, and I will make a fake like news company thing, and we have a camera, and we will go up to people at the grand opening of a restaurant.
Sure.
And just be like, ask them questions that have nothing to do with the restaurant thing.
Grand opening of anything, really.
Be like, hey, like, how are you enjoying your food? Are you really enjoying the atmosphere and the place here? And like, what's probably one of your most devastating memories growing up, and how does it relate to you ending up right here? But yeah, this episode,
we'll workshop it around.
Yeah, this episode's for you guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah, we want to give you some insight on our thinking and some of our segments, and
lack
we
appreciate, of thinking. Yeah,
really lack of thinking. We barely put any thought and effort into this show. We appreciate for everybody
that enough
that did email and leave voice memos. If you didn't, feel free to send another email for a future show.
First one to crack the mystery of who the number one rando is.
Yeah. Gets a prize.
We'll get a chance.
Make you a T-shirt.
We'll get a chance to be interviewed on the show.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, I'm with that. If you can crack who's number one rando, we'll give you a segment on the show. We'll talk to you. We'll interview you and go from there. We will end this show with how we, have been ending it here for this season, Salty Dalton, and that is with the the 3, 2, 1, and the first word that pops.
So we are doing that for
your
this?
head. We're going to do it to end this
Dude,
one.
what are the odds that this is the one where it's both right and we just have to...
That'd be great. That's a great way to go out. All right. Are you ready for this?
Hold on. Okay, first thing... Okay,
Oh my
first
God.
thing
What
pops
if we
in my
do
head.
say the
Okay,
same
first
word?
thing pops in my head. I'm ready.
Okay, hold on. I got to clear my mind.
Okay, clear your mind. Ready? Clear your mind. 1, 2, 3.
Chicken.
Whoa.
Both food.
Oh, man.
Ooh, man. I was gonna say anniversary.
You know what's
but I was
weird?
like, what if he says anniversary?
I feel like I've talked to us before. Anytime I think of the Titanic, I think of pancakes and vice versa.
Yeah, because they were like, oh, my pancakes are getting soggy.
I guess, yeah, maybe because they were going down in there. Maybe they had a lot of pancakes on board. But that I can't.
Everything's
I can't
falling
not
off the table.
I can't not eat pancakes without thinking about that Titanic.
Well, on that note, hope you're enjoying your pancakes on Saturday morning. And
watch out for icebergs out there.
Watch out for icebergs out there. That's our good advice to you. That's another episode of the Random Word Podcast. This was the anniversary of the episode 1.
Yeah, it was.
We are glad to have you guys with us. Sayonara. One more time, my sweet suckers. But not like the last time. Like, we're still going to do the show.
This is my final message to everyone here. I'm not a crook. We outie.